Lord, thank you for this council and what this means to our country and our state and our city. That we are here in a free country and we express our views as we see fit. Please bless this proceedings and those that are here in attendance so that we can have a very productive one. Thank you in Jesus' name. We pray.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Back today, shortly after midnight on June 5th, 1968, Senator Robert Kennedy is shot at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles after winning the California presidential primary. Immediately after he announces to his cheering supporters that the country is ready to end its fictitious divisions, Kennedy was shot several times by 24-year-old Palestinian Sirhan Sirhan, who was pronounced dead a day later on June 6, 1968. Back to the day. All right.
Okay, minutes. Any adjustments to the minutes? I've got several, but one I think we definitely need to, I'll let the rest of them go, but the one I need to on page number 1. It says, secondly, under the mayor's report, I didn't recognize Commissioner Nesta's comments in the middle of my mayor's report, and they should not have been included. There's not a not in there, so just need to add that. And everything else, everything else is just minor stuff. So with that one correction, look for a motion to approve the minutes.
What a valuable correction. I will move for that.
Okay, got a motion by Commissioner Nesta. Got a second by Commissioner Velasquez. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, code enforcement proclamation. Boy, I tell you, these guys, there's what keeps our streets clean, keeps the cars off the blocks, keep the grass down below a certain height. And it's not a job that everybody's cut out to do. So I applaud the guys out there that do this every day, because it's going to tell somebody that, hey, you need to clean up something or fix up something. Not an easy job, and we've got a great department, and under the leadership of now Captain Brick. And so with that, I want to read the proclamation, and it states, whereas code enforcement officers provide for the safety, health, and welfare of the citizens in this community through the enforcement of building, zoning, housing, fire safety, environmental, and other codes and ordinances. And whereas the work of code enforcement officers helps save lives and improve neighborhoods and quality of life for the citizens of Apopka. And whereas every day, assisted by support and program staff, they provide quality customer service to the public for the betterment of the community. And whereas code enforcement officers are unsung heroes that accomplish code compliance with their efforts and expertise. And whereas code enforcement officers are dedicated, well-trained, and highly responsible individuals who take their jobs seriously and are proud of their department and the local government within which they serve. And whereas the Florida Association of Code Enforcement, FACE, has declared the first week of June to be set aside by local governments to honor and recognize their code enforcement officers. Now, therefore, I, Brian Nelson, Mayor of the City of Apopka, Florida, by the virtue vested in me, do hereby proclaim June 3rd, 2024 through June 7th, 2024 to be Code Enforcement Officers Appreciation Week. Captain, you want to say a few words about your team, and then we'll get a picture?
Sure.
Whoop. Come to the mic.
My mouth isn't big enough.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to introduce, first off, Lieutenant Jason Workman, who's taking my position. Then we have David Whitty, Joe LeBron, and then Chris Smith and our administrative specialist, Lexia DeCault. And I remembered all those by myself, not even written down. Folks, they do, Mayor, commissioners, you've worked with us. They have a thankless job, and they really give 110% every day. We should be proud of them. They keep the property values up and get compliance. Obviously, their goal is through compliance and not fines. And they've really done a fantastic job. And I'm proud to be part of them. They do a lion's share of the work. So thank you for the opportunity and thank you.
Well, let's come down and.
Face map right there.
All right, next up, we've got the proclamation for, was it 55 and still alive, or is that the the name of the slogan here? Anyway, so this is the Historical Society, which we had a great presentation last council meeting about the history of the Historical Society and how they've gotten to where they are today. So we've got a proclamation for them as well. And the proclamation reads, whereas the Apopka Historical Society was founded in 1968, and whereas the Apopka Historical Society is celebrating its 55th anniversary in 2024, and whereas the Apopka Historical Society is looking forward to growing and bringing new and bigger events to Apopka, and whereas the Apopka Historical Society partners with the City of Apopka for community events, and whereas local support is integral to the continuation of the Historical Society, and whereas the purpose and objective of the Historical Society are to encourage the collective study and preservation of historical material associated with Apopka and Northwest Orange County. And whereas the Apopka Historical Society's museum was founded in 1971 in a small room above City Hall with only a few artifacts depicting the history of our community. And whereas the Apopka Historical Society has been preserving and promoting the history of Northwest Orange County through education and community programs for the last 55 years. And whereas June 5th, 2024, is set aside to celebrate the volunteers at the Apopka Historical Society who have contributed to the success of the museum. Now, therefore, I, Brian Nelson, Mayor of the City of Apopka, do hereby recognize June 5th as Apopka Historical Society Day in the City of Apopka and encourage all citizens to recognize and honor this day in the City of Apopka. And with that, Mayor Bell, sure, come on up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maribel Brinko. I'm president of the Apopka Historical Society in Northwest Orange County. Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners, for your service to our community. I take this moment to thank my board for their dedication and commitment to the preservation of our history. Especially thanks to Bessie Townsend Grossenbacher for her slogan, "We turn 55 and looking for building number 5. And Trudy Wise for their incredible spirit of giving and unmatched support for our museum. Now I extend an invitation to the entire community to join us in this celebration, this momentous occasion. We have partnered with Main Street Apopka Thank you, Kaylin. She's in here somewhere. Like the flyer states, as we're celebrating 55 and we're still alive. It will be at the Apopka Museum behind this building Saturday, June the 22nd, 2 to 5 p.m. It's a free event for the entire community, and there will be free cake because it is a birthday. And there will be music, dancing, games, so come and join us. I want to thank you, the entire community, for their support. And I want to say that we must remember that our past is our heritage, our present is our responsibility, and our future is our challenge. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on down, we'll get a picture. All right. Next up, we've got Deputy Chief Jerome Miller going to come up, and we, as y'all know, probably almost a month now ago, we had a couple of bank robberies, and it was the hard work that our police department put in to solve this case was extraordinary, and I wanted Deputy Chief to come in and kind of give us a little background and how it was, how we did it, and thank the team that was a part of that, finally arresting that gentleman.
Mayor, Commissioners, Jerome Miller, Apopka Police Department. I don't know if I'm going to give you the details of how we solved it.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely here today to give you some recognition of these employees, men and women of the police department. You are aware we recently experienced 2 bank robberies here on May the 8th and May the 20th. Today we're here to publicly recognize the outstanding efforts of the men and women of our agency who were instrumental in solving the 2 bank robberies. Through their dedication, expertise, teamwork, they were able to piece together limited information, the identity of a suspect, and to secure a confession. This achievement underscores the exceptional capabilities within our department. First, I would like to commend our crime analyst, Holly Reardon, who's not present today. She's off in a training here in the state of Florida, whose exceptional skills in data analysis provided critical insight that guided our investigation. Next, I would like to recognize the exemplary work of the detectives John Reardon, Detective Shaw, Detective Kennedy Jr., Detective Maloney, Corporal Rudage, and Lieutenant Hanstein, who are standing here on the wall. Their perseverance, attention to detail, and investigative insight were crucial in building a strong case against this individual. Together, their combined efforts not only led to the resolution of these serious crimes, but also reinforced the safety of our community. Please join me in applauding these dedicated professionals for their outstanding service. If one of them wants to come up here and speak a little bit about their role in the case, we'll welcome. But if not, job well done, and we appreciate the support.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it, ladies. Yes, that's awesome. Thank you, Deputy Chief. Appreciate it. Awesome. All right, next up, Michelle Boylan, the 100-day update for the Economic Development Department.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. Happy to be here before you today in my first presentation in my official capacity at a city council meeting. Excited to bring some information to you of what has occurred over the last 115 days to be exact. Today makes 115 days. The purpose of this presentation is to not only update, but to provide a little bit of education and to inform you of the goals and the initiatives of the department. So if we want to take a look at the first 100 days, I can tell you that I say 30 days here is I'm probably still in the onboarding phases of my role here, learning the policy, the processes, and the people involved in each one of these steps. And it has presented some challenges, but I'm happy to work through them. Taking a look at partner alignment, creating the goals and objectives, looking at the budget, how it was structured when I first came in, and how I would like to structure it for the next fiscal year. Into my 60-day period, I started looking at partner engagements and have met with many of our partners. You will learn that economic development is teamwork. It definitely takes a team to make to be successful in my role. So I've partnered with the Chamber of Commerce, the SBDC, Orange County Economic Development Division, Orlando Economic Partnership, Florida Commerce, and others, Main Street Apopka as well. A very important aspect of my role is understanding the product that we have available. And in my industry, product is land and buildings. And as you all know, we have a lot of buildings that are going up, and we have to work diligently to fill them. So part of that is making sure that I have an inventory of those buildings and also understanding the infrastructure that is in place at those buildings so we can identify the appropriate type of company to come in and occupy that space. So working with Duke Energy to understand the electric capacity, also with like Apopka natural gas to understand the natural gas, now partnering within the city to understand our water capacity, water and sewage capacity, just so we can have the proper alignment. I've had the opportunity to participate in industry events. Again, throughout this presentation, you're going to see this is a collaborative effort, and it's not who I know, but who knows me. And that's how we're going to attract people to come to Apopka. Not me in particular, but Apopka. Started looking at those goals that I'm going to go through here and how to implement some of them. 90 days and beyond, we're going to do some strategic planning. We're going to take a look at that four-letter word that nobody likes to talk about in incentives. People really don't want to hear about incentives. We know that that's not very popular, but we're going to make some wise choices here. Evaluating the team that's going to be working with these companies that we're identifying and coming in and making sure they understand their role, what you can say and what you can't say. There is definitely rules to conversations with companies when you're having them. Product evaluation, again, we're going to look at some of the land that's out there and what we can do with it. So continued partner engagement, product promotion, lead generation, and implementation of a business retention and expansion program. Everybody has this thought that we're already flying, and we're definitely not. And within my first week on the job, I realized that I wanted to hit the ground running. I came in with every intention of just getting out there, and we were going to land a company within my first year. Still a goal of mine, but I can't promise that. But I quickly learned that the appropriate approach for Apopka is a crawl, walk, run approach. I added fly because one day we will get there, but right now we are still in our crawling phases. So what does that mean? There were a lot of challenges when I came in with brand awareness, with being able to identify the infrastructure that's at these sites that we have available. So it's really pulling all the pieces together, forming those partnerships, really enhancing the relationships that we need to have in place to appropriately promote the city and bring in the business. This slide is going to create a little controversy here, but I just want to focus on it for just a moment. And I inserted this slide after my conversations with the commissioners this week, because I think it's very important to understand my role. I came in charged with the role to focus more on industrial development and less on retail and hospitality. Why? There are several reasons listed here. What I want to make sure I clarify is when I mention retail and hospitality development, I am not referencing the smaller family-owned mom and pop restaurants or businesses that are located in the heart of the city. They are essential to the success of the downtown district. What I'm looking at here are more chain franchises. What you'll learn quickly is that through industrial development, you create and meet the needs of those chain and franchise businesses that will eventually locate here. Why are we focusing more on industrial development instead of those types of chain restaurants? Olive Garden, for instance. Job creation is number one. Higher wage jobs come from the industrial development. It's an opportunity for us to take a look at our labor force and provide upscaling and rescaling. Some of these companies are going to come in and be able to do on-the-job training for the citizens of Apopka. We know that retail, yes, it is a job creator as well, but they create entry-level positions with lower wages. Most retail is dependent upon consumer spending. Well, how do we get there? We have to have the industry in place to be able to have those higher wage jobs for the dollars to be spent. They are susceptible to economic downturns versus industrial development that provides long-term economic stability. They have longer leases than the retail developments do. So I just wanted to make sure that I highlighted some of this. When companies are looking at locating, their key location factors are important. For an industrial development, it's going to be the infrastructure. It's going to be the available workforce, and quite frankly, it's going to be what happens in this room that sets the tone for a decision for an industrial development. But when you're looking at retail, they really just want to be in high traffic areas. They want to make sure they're in a popular destination so that they can have the customer base they need to keep their doors open. I put together a little graph here just so everybody can understand how the process works. So if you look in the top left corner, let's just say this is ABC Manufacturing Company, and they have been faced with an expansion or a merger. They want to follow one of their main suppliers to where they're going. What they're going to do in that process is they're going to start to look at where they would like to be. To the right of that, you'll see there's a little icon here. I'm going to call this my site selection advisor. Most industrial relocations start with a site selection advisor. They get with this site selection advisor, they start to look at the criteria they need, a geographical area, the workforce needs, the tax and business climate, the real estate cost and availability. They look at the regulatory environment, and they start to narrow down where they want to be. That site selection advisor will then go to the state level. Bottom right-hand corner, that's the logo for Florida Commerce. That is this state's economic development entity. The site selection advisor will go to the state and say, we have ABC Manufacturer who's looking to relocate. Can you tell us, is there any communities in your state meet those needs? From there, for us, it's going to flow to the Orlando Economic Partnership. The state's going to work directly with the Orlando Economic Partnership to understand, because that is our regional entity, if we have anything available in the region. What we have in Apopka is speed to market. We are very fortunate to have these industrial buildings that are going up. When I first started in economic development, a project coming in would take 18 to 24 months to be up and running. That's no longer the timeline. They want to be up and functional in 6 to 9 months. 12 months if you're lucky. We have the building. They don't have to build. We have the infrastructure. So we're in a good position with speed to market. Orlando Economic Partnership is then going to come to us, the Apopka Economic Development Department, to discuss if we can meet the parameters of the request. I placed this chart in here so that we could really focus on how site selection advisors or C-suite executives are narrowing down where they want to be. So on the right, you're going to see this was a survey of over 400 site selection advisors and C-suite executives. And their response basically says that if I plan to expand, 66% of them said, yes, I'm going to use a site selection advisor. 34% said, no, I'll kind of do it myself. But if you look at the chart, you can see that dialogue with industry peers, meeting with economic development groups, internet and websites, you can kind of see how they all rank. So it's very important that, one, we're getting our information out there and we're making ourselves known, whether that's via the internet or through conversations or continuing to network with the appropriate partners. So with all of that in mind, that was my little education component. I wanted to focus a little bit on the goals that have been developed for the Economic Development Department. I have a slide for each one of these. We have a packed agenda, so I will not take very long. Attraction and retention is number one, but I broke this out just so you can see the efforts that are already in place for the attraction. So attraction, we're going to implement targeted strategies to attract new businesses to Apopka, leveraging our strengths and opportunities. Well, first and foremost, brand awareness. I mentioned that before. Coming August, we will have a website, or a web page, I should say, on the City of Apopka's website for economic development. There are going to be specialized tools or resources to suit the needs of a C-suite executive or a site selection advisor when they want the first appearance of our city. You can see a little screenshot I created, and hopefully it's going to be as beautiful as this and probably better. Just below that, there is a sites and buildings database. This is going to be our product inventory. This is the opportunity for someone to go on our site and see what we have available and if it's going to meet their needs. And to the right, please be on the lookout for the Florida Trend magazine in July, where we will have an ad placed for the city of Apopka. Retention is essential. We know that our current businesses, they tell our business story. I will tell you that any company that's looking to locate to Apopka is going to go to our existing businesses and they're going to ask the hard questions. They're going to ask about the workforce. They're going to ask about the government, how we're cooperating with them. What was their experience with trying to get into the city? Was there a lot of red tape? They want to know. So they're going to come to our existing businesses first and find out, once you've located here, how have they treated you after the fact? So it's very important that we maintain a good relationship with our existing businesses. I'm proposing the creation of a business retention and expansion program. This is our opportunity to get a survey out there for these businesses to identify any pain points that they may currently have and how we can align resources or solutions with those pain points. We're going to ask the basic questions of why Apopka? You know, we want to know, and what can we do better? But what you see here in these images, we're going to gather, analyze, report, organize, and we're going to gain awareness. To the right is a summary of what a report can look like when we start to survey our businesses, and just a resource guide. This resource, we're not going to have all the resources within the city, but our partners will have resources. And it's my goal to make sure I understand, I have some education on those resources so that when I'm talking to a business, I can align them with the appropriate resources or solutions for their problems. Collaboration and partnership, I've said it repeatedly. To the right, these are just some of the entities I've had the ability to connect with within my first couple months here, but we will continue to engage with them and understand, again, how we can collaborate with one another, and also how they can help our businesses when we're bringing them in and keeping them here. We want to support industry expansion. Now, I talked about strategic planning. I do plan to get a consultant to come in. Yes, I said consultant, to help us with the development of an actual strategic plan for the purpose of economic development. And one of the focuses will be identifying key industries that we can support. I have my list here of what I think. I just want to make sure that I'm on target. So we're going to look at the current industry in the city. We want to make sure that we can continue to support them, understand their needs. How can we attract their supplier? How can we attract their competition? Usually competition want to be in the same area. So just making sure this is part of the business retention and expansion program is getting out and meeting with them. Promoting entrepreneurship. Again, I mentioned the downtown portion of Apopka, and it's very important to understand that when I started in economic development, they didn't really care about the downtown component. It was all about speed to market. When can I get in? Now they want to see the heart of the city. That's going to tell the story. How do you treat your city? How's the city growing? Do you have a vibrant downtown area? And I think it's very important that we focus on entrepreneurship, whether it's within the downtown district or outside of the downtown district. And what you will realize with entrepreneurs is most of the time the failure rate is higher because of lack of understanding, awareness, and education. So I'm proposing an educational series that the city will host in collaboration with some partners to help entrepreneurs within the city. I would hope that my first event would be an in-person event called Doing Business in Apopka, where we'll bring in different partners, whether it's the SBDC, it's the chamber, it's just various partners that can help with establishing a business in the city of Apopka. We want to educate these entrepreneurs on the importance of entrepreneurship, access to capital. That's a big one. A lot of these entrepreneurs don't know that there are programs at the state level that they can access to gain capital to continue to be in business. Government procurement, building attractive websites, whatever the case may be, but these are just some examples of some topics. This will be free to entrepreneurs, free to anyone looking to start a business in the city of Apopka. The first one in person, the rest would be webinars. We don't want to take anybody away from their day-to-day job, but give them the opportunity to participate and engage with us. Job creation and workforce development, I say this one is self-explanatory. We're going to work closely with the educational institutions, our higher education, and make sure that we're doing skills assessments and seeing what type of programs we might be able to implement within the K through 12 or even the higher education system to train that particular skill that we may need when we're working to attract projects. Inclusive economic development is key. We're not just talking about inclusive as in supporting the underrepresented and the marginalized group. We're talking about bringing them into the process, not just forcing something upon them, but understanding what type of jobs they're looking for, how they can be involved. I think the perfect example of this, most of you, if not all of you, have had the opportunity to tour Lift Orlando. And if you have not done that, please take some time to participate in one of their tours. Lift Orlando, they have an initiative to revitalize those historic neighborhoods that surround Camping World Stadium. Instead of gentrifying the communities, they came in, they partnered with local businesses, local community community organizations, as well as the citizens, the residents of those communities came in and they all had input. And if you take a look at their statistics and what they have done there, they have what they call a cradle to college to career education pipeline. They have mixed income housing strategy and community wellness. So they have from childcare clear through helping individuals with their housing and their careers, and they have great success stories, and that is inclusive. And I hope that we can do the same thing here in Apopka. Promised I wouldn't be long, and I hope I wasn't. So with that, just happy to present the goals and initiatives for the department, and I'm here to answer any questions if you have any.
Mr. Anderson, any? Good.
Thank you.
Mr. Velasquez?
Just keep us involved and keep us engaged, and this is a great presentation. Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
My only question was, are you going to develop some kind of pamphlet or handout that we can present to potential investors that's coming into our city to see what we have to offer?
That is the goal. I'm going to go back to people, policies, and process, and I'm still learning how to navigate that here, but it is most definitely the goal.
Mr. Nesta?
Commissioner Nesta, yeah, definitely. I appreciate you taking the time with me on Monday as well. And thank you for the presentation. It's very detailed, and I appreciate what you've been doing for us too. We had spoken about Main Street Apopka. Obviously, that's a big one for me. I've enjoyed what they're working on, what they're focused on, and I think it's kind of the glue that's behind the scenes that keeps you connected with the businesses, connected with residents in Apopka. It really helps to create a really cohesive, incredible product here. Do you know where we're at with their current agreement?
The agreement has been passed along to the attorney for review.
Okay.
There was some language being tweaked in there just to make sure that we were protecting the city and its investment. I have not received the draft back just yet, but I anticipate receiving it by the end of the week. We had a conversation late last week about it. So that's pretty much where we are with it. I know there is a sense of urgency because Main Street would like to apply for the accreditation for the Florida Main Street program. Understanding the window is open June through September. I'm not saying we hold off until the last minute, but it is in the works. And I think that when we bring it back, it's going to come back in the form of a presentation just so I can enlighten the council more on the process and the reason for why the language was constructed the way it was.
Absolutely. No, and I appreciate that. I've said this a million times, I really support what they're doing and their initiatives, and I think they're going to go really far with our community and really create a downtown identity that we don't have now. So, and I'll follow up with our attorney. Do you happen to know, have you reviewed that at all?
Sorry, I'm here for the meeting and I haven't even seen that again.
Understood,
So I
no
couldn't
problem.
speak.
Just checking. And then you had spoken about a strategic plan. What concerns me about that is that a strategic plan within a department usually ties back to the strategic plan of a city, which we don't have. So I want to make sure if we're going to hire a consultant to come in to create a strategic plan for your department, that we have one for our city first. So however that needs to happen, it needs to happen prior to. So cart before the horse there a little bit. In reference to the Apopka Growth Alliance, are you partnered with them in any capacity, or is your department, or is it a separate entity that's not partnered in any capacity?
It is my understanding that the Apopka Growth Alliance is a brand. That is not an organization. It does not have direct funding, does not have staff. It is a brand. I'm not certain when this brand was created, but I think the intention of the brand was to give Apopka that economic development face or appearance. I've taken a look at some of the website content. It does need to be updated, but I believe this is an initiative of the Chamber of Commerce. I am not actively engaged in that component of the chamber. I have been participating in the board meetings, and that has not come up just yet.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we're having one cohesive message as the city. So as long as, and I know you're on board with that. So
Yeah.
as long as we're there, then I'm good. Thank you again for your presentation.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate it. All right. Next up, we have Resilient Florida, Richard Earp. And you
Good
brought in all
afternoon.
the heavy hitters with you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here. Y'all have heard a little bit about the Resilient Florida Inland Vulnerability Assessment Grant. You awarded the grant, and then we needed an extension to hire the consultants to get them on board to actually do what is required in the grant. And one part of our requirement is to have this public outreach component today so we can get input from the public on things that the city needs to improve our resiliency and decrease our vulnerability to natural disasters, primarily higher amounts of rainfall than we've seen historically. So with us today, I have Geosyntec, and Bob, are you speaking? Yep, if you want to come on up.
Thank you, Richard. Mayor Nelson, Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. What I want to do is provide a brief overview of what the Inland Vulnerability Assessment is and where we are in the process of that now. Now, as Richard alluded to, the vulnerability assessment in this context, we were going to be doing a flooding study and we were going to be evaluating the risk to critical assets within the city to that flooding. So it's kind of a fancy name, but anyway, that's essentially what it entails. In the way of background, the city applied for and received $100,000 from the Resilient Florida Planning. It was a grant from DEP to conduct the Inland Vulnerability Assessment. Now, the requirements of the vulnerability assessment and the grant program itself are all set up in Section 380.093 of Florida statutes. It provides a lot more detail than what I'm going to give you today, but I refer you to that if you would like more detail. In March of this year, the city did contract with Geosyntec to perform this study. Today's presentation is the first of two that we will be doing before council. The one in September will relay some of the results and conclusions of the study. It's part of the public information aspect of this project, and one other important aspect is we will have a project web page that'll be on the city's website, which I understand will be up and available end of the week. So you'll be able to follow progress on that, and the public will be able to provide some input in that way. The project schedule and deliverables you see in the table, there's 4 main tasks. The first task, acquire background data. We have completed that task. We have submitted that information to the department for their review. The other task, exposure analysis, sensitivity analysis, and final VA report, I'll speak to a little bit in the subsequent slides. So the vulnerability assessment requirements are in Florida statute, and it states that the assessment must encompass the entire municipality and must include all critical assets owned and maintained by the grant applicant. And they list 4 critical asset categories: transportation assets and evacuation routes, critical infrastructure, drinking water, wastewater, stormwater treatment, solid waste, power, critical community and emergency facilities. It would be those facilities related to first responders. It would be shelters, for example, schools, hospitals, nursing homes, for example, would be considered under that category. And then 4th are natural, cultural, and historical resources within the area. So those are the assets that we would be looking to assess the vulnerability. No, that's the next one. Let's see. No, I actually did go too far. Thank you, Richard. There are 3 main categories of data that are required. I mentioned the critical and regional significant assets inventory. Additionally, we are collecting data to allow us to perform the flood study, and that includes topographic data and flood scenario related data such as rainfall, land use, soils, water level data. All of these are spelled out within the statute, and this information will be pulled together from which we will be developing a stormwater model which we will use to do the flooding assessment. 4 types of flooding will be evaluated, and these 4 are listed in the statute. Tidal, current and future storm surge flooding. Those are not really pertinent to the city of Apopka, but they are listed in the statute, and per discussions with the department, we at least have to address why they are not pertinent to the city of Apopka. So our main focus is going to be rainfall-induced flooding. We will be preparing a stormwater model. We will be looking at multiple storm events, and there's 3 different scenarios. There's an existing condition scenario, and then there's 2 future planning horizons that are specified in the statute, 2040 and 2070, for which we would utilize rainfall projections and evaluate the level of flooding. Following the exposure analysis, we would look at the impact of flooding on assets, which they term as a sensitivity analysis. That would be an evaluation of the impact of flood severity on each of the asset classes that I mentioned previously. We would assign a risk level to those assets based on the area of inundation, depth of inundation, and the number of critical assets that are affected. Following that, we would begin to prioritize focus areas, and what focus areas are is where we look at those particular assets that are most vulnerable to flood risk. Those were ones that we would require the development of adaptation strategies and resilience plannings, which would be done in future studies. Finally, preparing a final report which summarizes the work we did, our results and conclusions, all of the maps and tables, a final list of critical and regionally significant assets that are impacted by the flooding. And additionally, we would provide some recommendations for future stormwater infrastructure assessments and resilient planning. That could be anything ranging from a more detailed stormwater asset inventory to maintenance recommendations to optimize your existing system. All of the mapping data that we collected and developed during the project would be part of that report. All of this gets submitted to the department at the end. And at the very end, there is a signed vulnerability assessment compliance checklist certification. Yes, we have a number of boxes that we have to check, and the department requires that as part of making sure that you meet all the requirements of the grant agreement. So in the end, the study is going to serve as a basis for future studies, future projects, and probably most importantly, it's going to serve as a basis as you apply and try to get more grant funding to try to do additional studies and projects. So that's the end of the presentation, and I'll entertain any questions at this time.
Any questions? Commissioner Nestor, got any?
No, I appreciate the time. I spoke to Mr. Earp on Monday and got a good grasp of what you guys are doing. I'm excited for it, and let's get it done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Again, I would encourage you to look at Florida Statute Section 380.093. It does lay out these things in a lot more detail. It's very prescriptive on how you do approach these.
Excellent.
Mr. Smith?
No, my meeting was fine.
Good. Mr. Velasquez?
Same thing. It was a very informative meeting. I appreciate all the information and why we're doing this. And of course, for all the hurricanes that have come through Apopka, this is something that was very much needed, a plan.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Commissioner Anderson?
Meeting was very informative and looking forward to the study.
Okay,
Awesome.
thank you.
Thank
Look
you.
forward to seeing you in September.
You got it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
All right. Next up, Dio. Come on up.
Oh, God.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioner. My name is Deodad Bodo, Public Service Director. My presentation here is very informal, informational, and will briefly address the major capital improvement, some of which the Council has already approved the contractor. Some of them are on the agenda for today, and few are in bidding stages. But these are major capital improvement that will be starting construction schedule within the next 2 to 3 months and will last a duration maybe approximately 18 months. It depends on the supply. So the first one I want to review with you is the Grassenberg water treatment ground storage tank. We have an existing tank there, which is 1.0 million gallons, which was built back in 1985. It reached its exceeded lives. We're going to replace that tank with a capacity of 1.5 million gallons. The contractor was already selected, and we are just waiting the contract to be executed before we have our pre-construction meeting with the contractor. And the next one is Grossenbach well replacement well number 1, and that well is shown here. That well is really in the upper aquifer. We have, because of the consumption use permit, the requirement is that we need to close all those upper aquifer well and the water well and drill them into the lower aquifer. So this is in compliance with that permit requirement. We are way behind schedule. So that this project is to abandon that well and to construct a new well, which is shown in well number 8 in the location. We have an AC Schultz of Florida was the lowest bidder, and it is on your agenda for approval. And the next project is the Northwest Water Treatment Plant. We have a 1 million gallon ground storage tank there right now. We are going to add another 1 million gallon. And because this is the cost sharing, we have a grant which will help us to do so. This project, was posted on 4/7. It was opened yesterday, I think. So we have a bidder. We are going through the evaluation, and a recommendation will be coming to the council. The next project is Mount Plymouth Regional Water Treatment Plant. We have existing here 4 wells. 3 of those wells are shallow wells. So we are going to abandon 2 of this well, number 1 and 2, and deepen the existing well, number 3. And as a result, we are going to meet the compliance with the CUP permit, as well as we are going to increase the capacity of the water that we can get from these wells, at least by 20%. That project, we have only 1 bidder. We are under evaluation, and it should be coming to the board the next meeting probably. We have the asbestos cement potable water well replacement. This is the first of those projects. We already have a contractor selected, right, and it is on pending approval. This project is kind of sensitive in a way that once we can get a contract, if we can get this project expedited when the school is closed, it would be very essential for us. So it would be in a fast track once the contractor is approved, and we can meet with them and see if they have all the material and everything is in place, if you can fast track this project. The following project is Camp Beaver, the wastewater system. We have already 90% finished with the water system. This one is the sewer system, in which we are going to replace the septic with sewer. And basically, we already have a contractor on board, and we're just waiting a signed contract and a schedule to get this started. The Northwest Recreation Center Water Institute, we are working on this design for several years. Now it's coming to some fruition. It's out for bid. We have some correction thing to do. But this would involve the Northwest Pond. We're going to have constructed a new pump station, a distribution line that will supply the reused water from that pond into the storage tank. So we are going to have some connectivity there in terms of the reused water for supply. Now, this project is posted. It will be open. The bid is supposed to be open the 20th. So at that time, it will be coming back to the board once we get the bidder. The city of Apopka this sidewalk project is a CRA phase 2. We did the phase 1, as many of you have known. This is the phase 2. Garcia, civil work contractor, was the lowest bidder. It is on the agenda for approval. Garcia was the contractor who did the phase 1 of the project. Golden Gem reuse pond well repair. As everyone knows, there was a presentation by Dr. Devo here. We are beginning to work on the phase 1 of the recommendation, which means that we have the sinkhole and the volcanic holes or sinkhole have to be corrected. Today I met with the piggyback contract to see how much of those items that contract can be covered. There would be some off-contract item here because these are unique type of project to correct. So it may mean that I will discuss with purchasing and maybe have to come back to the board here to get some approval in order for those off-contract items. And with that, it's just an information to show you how much project is in the pipeline, and construction hopefully are going to begin in the next 2 to 3 months. And with that, if you have any comment.
Any questions for Dio? Good. Thank you. Mr. Vasquez?
But they were all funded with the
Yeah. These were all projects that we discussed in the past budget meeting. It was just put on an expeditious track to get them moving because these projects take 18 months to design, permitted, and to get going. So there are a lot of them coming in the pipeline. So we just want you to know the addition of these projects is in the millions, right? So we just want you to know what will happen to the landscape.
Okay. Mr. Smith? Good. And Mr. Nessler? Good. Okay.
Right. Thank you very much.
Dio. Appreciate it. Okay, next up, public comment. Susan?
Yeah, I'm rather disappointed today that the city decided to shut me down at the beginning of the meeting. This isn't really something that should be coming in public comment now. I have other things to discuss at public comment today. The lies that the mayor has told us about Golden Gem Road. I've produced documentation today that was provided by Devo, the engineer of record that we are looking to use for the work. This will show that the city has been aware of anomalies there since 2021. It will show that on March the 4th, this was produced by Devo. It will show it's radically different to the presentation that you had on May the 12th. It will show your mayor is a liar. He does nothing but lie. But that's not the problem that we have today. Commissioners, at the end of the day, you're here to represent us. And I continuously give you information. You do nothing about it. This report will justify everything that I told you about in that report. The timeline is nothing like what Devo suggested. I have documentation and aerial photographs that show this began a year in advance of when you're being led to believe it is. You're asked to sign an open checkbook to resolve this problem. You don't even know why the problem occurred. In this report, I'll tell you why it occurred. It was negligence by the city. Yeah? Go read it and you'll see why. I can't educate you today in 4 minutes. And the other thing is, I don't want to educate you today in 4 minutes. If you need to know why you're being lied to, if you need to know what he's hiding from you, come and ask me. Because I have the documentation supplied by Susan Bowen. I have the documentation here today that also shows Susan Bowen supplied me a year ago oaths of office. Alexander Smith, yours was incomplete. Nick Nesta, yours was incomplete. Miss Diane, yours was incomplete. You all knew this because I brought it to your attention a year and a half ago. Yet today you allowed that man to shut down my inalienable rights to contest the legitimacy of this meeting. You allowed him to do that to me. You violated my constitutionally protected rights. The question is, why did you? When you know that the documents that I give you today showing the oath of office were incomplete, you know that I brought those to your attention over a year ago. Why did you allow that man to violate my rights today? Does anybody want to answer? Are these documents that I give you today, are they correct? Did I in any way alter them? No, the answer is that we all know they weren't signed properly a year ago. We all know that what that man did to me today was wrong. We all know that this document proves that he lies. This city has a problem. It cannot accept the water that's coming into it. It's coming from Altamont. It's coming from Orange County. You have a viability study going on. What that viability study will tell you is Golden Gem Road isn't going to be online till 2027. Lusk Road can't provide water for the city now. It's only a transfer pump. Snowden Road can't do anything. You've got you've got millions of gallons of water coming into the city every day. And there's nowhere to put it. Ask Glenn Brooks where it went. Glenn Brooks will tell you he pumped water from Lusk Road into Lake Apopka. Glenn Brooks will tell you that's criminal. And I can prove it. Because Dave will put me on the right lines. He suggested looking for satellite images. I have satellite images from 2019 of water being pumped from Lusk Road into Lake Apopka. Now, commissioners, you deal with it because you're complicit if you don't.
Good afternoon. As a reminder, I'm Andrew Reyes from The Oak, is a fitness company here in Apopka, and I've spoken with y'all several times. Commissioner Anderson, this is the first time me speaking in front of you, but just wanted to bring the next event that I'll be hosting with my company in partnership with the 2650 Foundation. It is a hero workout, is what it's called, and hero workouts in the fitness community just mean that it is honoring those that are fallen and workouts that were created for those that have fallen. The last one I did was during Memorial Day. It was called Memorial Day Murph, that a lot of people know about. So the next one is on July 13th, and this hero workout is called Duran in partnership with the 2650 Foundation. And that workout will be, like I said, on July 13th, starting at 7 a.m. at the Leroy Gilliam Training Center. And that is open to the public. For all to attend, and thank you for your continued support, and hope that we can see you guys out there.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Steve Connor.
Good afternoon. My name is Steve Canena. I manage one of the businesses on Gem Commerce, and to get to Gem Commerce, you have to go down Marshall Lake, which, as you guys know, is recently repaved. And although it is better than what it was, I do have some concerns about the condition of that road as it is. When the road was getting built, it took forever. I think they built the building faster than they redid that little stretch of road, and it was a nightmare for all the residents coming in and out of the park. But we dealt with that, and now I guess it's considered done. They just did the striping, and I'm not sure if you guys, if your people actually go out and inspect that. I would imagine they probably inspected the plans, but it's a strange road. You guys put little pieces of curb in. There's not a continuous curb. The curb is not as wide further down as it is at the end, and the trucks pulling out of our road onto that road are already going into the grass, destroying the grass. Just something I'd like for you guys to take a look at. It's.
Do you have your card with you?
I do.
If you want to give it to Dio or Richard, and then let them take a look at it for you.
Yeah, I mean, again, I do appreciate the fact the road got redone, but it's only going to be a very short matter of time. If the road's not smooth, it's holding water, and when it holds water, it's going to create problems. And I don't know if the contractor did that road or you guys did that road, but you're not getting your bang for the buck, and it's going to be a very short matter of time. We're going to have problems. So just like for you to take a look at that.
All right. Thank you for coming.
Okay, Sylvester Hall.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Before I start,
I would like to call Mr. Hibbler down. I said before I get started, the last meeting that we had, I had a PowerPoint presentation, and it wasn't a PowerPoint presentation that I was looking to do that meeting. And so I told him I'll go back home and I'll check. Went back home and I checked, and it was my error. Now, this is how I do it. When you make a mistake, you accuse somebody, you own up to it. So I'm saying, please accept my sincere apology for insinuating that it was something done on your behalf.
Sure.
Now, what I want to talk about is the DEI. That's what I wanted to talk about last. I had the PowerPoint presentation, but it's going to take too long to do that. So I'm going to just get to some of the basic. You always hear me say too many good people. This country's in a crisis because too many good people are standing by watching bad things happening and not saying anything about it. And we normalize the abnormal, where sometimes it desensitizes the truth, and sometimes the truth doesn't matter. If you take the time and digest and look what's going on in our country, that speaks volume when we look at making the abnormal normal. And that's something that we all need to take part in. If not, it's going to come back to haunt us all. 2 or 3 meetings ago, we was talking about DEI, and I had to leave. And Commissioner Velasquez brought up that we should disband the DEI. And we should get rid of all the current members. That I took personally because I'm a current member of the DEI. And it was said that, hey, I was no longer interested, and I had, gave up hope. That's not the case. I'm there because DEI is something that I'm going to hold the city accountable to. And if we look at the DEI as currently constructed in the city of Apopka, I always say there's no DEI. The mayor sits at all the meetings. The mayor dictates what goes on. So it's never been a DEI committee. It's just been something that's been rebel stamped so the city can get certain grants, period. Now, if you look at our country, you look at our state, the governor, he's disbanding DEI. The president, the presidential candidate, Mr. Donald Trump, he no longer support. He don't support DEI. So it is what it is. But you guys got to look at it in this community what you think is good for the city of Apopka, for the state of Florida, and for the country moving forward. When you talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, what could be wrong with that? Don't everybody want to be included? Don't everybody want to be loved? So how can we go against that? And so when you look at these things and you say, okay, we're going to put these things into play, you got to look at leadership. Because where I come from, leadership set the tone down. You got good leadership, in the military, your man will run through a brick wall. So I look at our leadership here, DEI. And the last time I brought up, hey, look, I brought up the resolution that we have in the city records where all the black people had to live on the other side of the tracks. But I use the word nigger because I want to put you in the contents of what that really means when you say all black people got to live on the other side of the tracks. So that means you don't see me as a person. You thought less of me that, hey, look, my white counterpart cannot communicate or we live in the same environment. So now when you put that in perspective, you put them all over there in one place. You don't give them no necessities. You don't support the area. Now 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, fast forward, now you get what you get out of the area. And so when you have that type of visionary and that type of leadership, what do you think, how you think DEI is going to thrive? How you think that's inclusion when we don't love each other? So at some point, we got to learn in this country, we got to come together and love, or we're all going to perish. So I ask you today, please look in your heart and do what's right for all of the citizens of this city, this state, and this country. Thank you.
Caitlin Kasheda, Executive Director of Main Street Apopka. Hi, everyone. It's nice to see you. I really hope this puts a big smile on everybody's face because today I'm here to introduce the second annual Apopka Dog Mayor election race and fundraising program now by Main Street Apopka. And yes, everyone heard that right. Apopka has an honorary dog mayor. Last year, we were overwhelmed, truly overwhelmed, by the support our City Council gave to this inaugural program. You supported our 5 candidates and each chose one to sponsor through their campaign in an effort to raise $1 donation votes for their chosen animal rescue, and also to send your favorite candidate to the winner's circle. This program was featured on national news, and together with the community, we raised a total of $19,806 to further the mission of 5 Central Florida animal rescues. $5,684 was raised for Second Chance Animal Rescue and Sanctuary. $5,126 was raised for Bully Up Rescue. $4,288 was raised for Husky Haven of Florida. $4,217 was raised for the Care Foundation, and $500 was raised for Suncoast Basset Rescue. And even though we believe that all dogs are winners, there was only one that could be elected our dog mayor. Mayor Asher, sponsored by Commissioner Nesta, raised nearly $6,000 during his campaign, and since then has been continuing his efforts throughout the city to advocate for a pet-friendly Apopka, support the council members in their projects, and promote the city of Apopka to residents and visitors alike. Asher has made appearances inside these council chambers, at ribbon cuttings, in races, at supply drives for homeless and endangered children, at the local library, in costume contests for our senior citizens, at the Apopka Amphitheater for Saturday Sounds, so many special events, and even was recognized and pinned by the Apopka Police Chief as an honorary police officer because of his exemplary work with APD as a search and rescue dog. This year, Asher is running for his second term alongside 3 new candidates. Here we go, guys. This is a big moment. Hank, a 4-year-old Basset Hound. Joy, a 4-year-old Basset Hound. And Walter, a 2.5-year-old Border Collie. And yes, you are seeing double. 2 of each this time. So these pups had to pass through a formally scored audition this year before they could be chosen as candidates, and we're confident that they will win the hearts and minds on their campaign trail. So early voting will be open online from June 15th through July 27th, where anyone in the world can donate an unlimited amount of $1 votes to their favorite candidate. And we ask for the continued support from the city as well as from all of our pet-loving community. So please save the following dates: June 15th for the candidates' campaign kickoff parties, which will be hosted all throughout the city at various times throughout the day, and July 27th for Election Day, and we'll send more details about that in the upcoming weeks. You can learn more about the program by visiting our website at apopkadogmayor.com and follow the campaign race on social media at Apopka Dog Mayor on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Keyboard belt.
Afternoon, Leroy Bell, Maud Helen. I'd like to start with the city manager. I'd like to thank him for coming out and taking care of the neighborhood like he said he would with patches. And I also congratulate the police department on the arrest of the robbery. I said that to let you know I'm not anti-police. We need the police. But in this environment, we have one officer that decide that he want to be a macho, I guess, beat up man or WWE. Last week, you had one of the commissioners said in her expert opinion that after talking to the deputy chief and the chief, with their protocol wasn't anything wrong with the arrest. Wasn't no police brutality. But if you read the police officer report, he tell you on several occasions that with a closed fist, he struck this man over 2 or 3 times. This is in his report. I didn't make this up. Now, where I come from, I don't know about you guys, where I come from, excuse my expression, that's ass for it. So, and I understand that the commissioner said there's some other tapes out there that's been manipulated some kind of way. No, none never came out. I received a letter from one of your racist friends, or yourself, or some of your Sambos, but it don't faze me, not at all. Now, if you guys went and watched the video, if there's no problem, why in the world that the citizen can't see it? Why? Oh, you got to redact it? Was it redacted before they watched it? Now you got a sitting commissioner that came and was the judge and the jury. What's the problem? Why we can't see it? You know, the reason why I think things is the way they are is because I put me in the mind of Dr. Carter B. Woodson. He said, when you allow somebody to tell you how to think, he controls your action. You don't have to know your place. You'll go pick it and get there and stay there. You won't go to the front door. You'll find the back door. If one not there, you'll protest to get one. Why don't we, for a change, show the citizens that I'm wrong? Show the citizens that I'm lying. But yet and still this mayor praise the commissioner for her honesty and her integrity. Show some integrity to the people in Apopka. Show the video. What's the problem? Because you know it's wrong. And in the video, I'm not speaking about something I heard. If you really truly seen the video, the first time the young man was tased, the car that he fell on was my car. That's how I know. That's how I know what happened.
Maybe Garcia.
Hello. It's been a while. I am here today on behalf of the Duran family and the 2650 Foundation. Excuse me while I open my notes. If I don't read, I will ramble. Okay. Said who I was. I am the COO of the 2650 Foundation. I'm here today as we enter into 2 years since the death of Austin Duran. The 2650 Foundation is looking forward to bringing some hope back into our community. Let me get to my notes. Okay, so on June 30th, just as we did last year and as we did following Austin Duran's death in 2022, we will be hosting a community vigil. And different from the last couple that we've done, this is actually going to be in the morning. So it'll be around 10 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock in the morning. And then following that, we will immediately walk down to Three Odd Guys as it's become tradition to fellowship there following this event. Since last year, members of our board have regularly discussed how we would like to navigate this time of year. When we look back on the 15 days following the incident that resulted in Austin's injuries, while there was a lot of fear and pain experienced, we also do recall the hope that surrounded our community in that time. I know that for myself, I have memories of checking in on friends throughout those 15 days and being handed handfuls of pizza boxes because there was just too much food. And I don't know if y'all have ever had a meal at a fire station, but there's never too much food. But in this period of time, I have memories of Station 1's table, which is massive, just covered in food. So the community really, truly did surround our firefighters throughout that time. So just to bring that into perspective, that's what we're looking to recreate this year. So following the 30th, we are going to be supporting a campaign called the 15 Days of Hope, because hope is the word that a lot of us agree on, that we all had within us in that original 15 days. We do strive to be an example for our community and how we remember Austin. While those 15 days were excruciating, none of us ever lost hope that our friend, brother, and son would come home. The support the family and the fire department saw from the community during that time was truly incredible, and we are looking forward to kind of bringing that back and moving forward as we grow and move forward and heal through this process. In addition to that, we'd like to invite our elected officials to sponsor a meal for one shift at one station throughout those 15 days. I have started to reach out to all of you. Commissioner Smith, I've called you a bunch of times and you don't answer your phone, and your voicemails are full on both lines, just so you know. And I did speak with Miss Nadia as well. But we would love for you guys to sponsor a dinner. I know Mayor Nelson, Mike Duran did reach out to Stacy. We're looking forward to meeting with you to discuss what that would look like for you as well. But yes, we're looking forward to this. We have already made commitments with local businesses, nonprofits, the Oak community, like you mentioned. He's actually going to be hosting 2 Duran workouts at the training center, which will be a great opportunity for the community to get together and work out with firefighters, get to know them, spend time with them. What we're asking people to do throughout that 15 days doesn't have to be a lot. It's summertime. Your kids are driving you crazy. Take them for a tour at a fire station. Make cookies, bring them to a fire station. Drop off some water. Just show some support throughout that 15 days. If you're a local business and you're interested in supporting it anyway, please reach out to me. Our email is the 2650foundation@gmail.com. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
That's it. Okay. All right. We have 13 consent agenda items. Anybody need to pull any of those? If not, look for a motion to approve.
Just the first one, the planning commission for
Yes.
Mr. Benjamin Butch.
Butch.
Yes. Attached was, their appearances at planning and zoning, and he does have an impressive resume, but I would like for him to realize how important it is to show up to the planning and zoning meetings. And that's the only thing. I mean, I did speak with our administrator, Chuck, and I just shared some concerns that, the planning and zoning is really the first, the first line that all the developers go to, and then it comes to us. And when you don't have all the members showing up and voting, whatever Mr. Butch Cassidy's expertise is missing. And we don't always get everything that we need from planning and zoning when we have our commissioners not showing up. So that was a concern for me. I am going to approve it and hope that he understands the importance of his commitment to planning and zoning.
Yep. Okay, anybody else? If not, look for motion to approve all 13 items.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Smith,
Second.
second by Commissioner Anderson. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed, motion carries unanimously. Next up, Kelly Park, multifamily, Phase 3, Gene Sanchez.
Good afternoon, Jean Sanchez with the Community Development Department. This is a request to approve the Kelly Park Multifamily Phase 3 plat. The subject property is situated on the northwest corner of Waypoint Boulevard and Kelly Park Road. It's approximately 150 acres in size. The applicant has submitted the plat to combine parcels and create 3 lots, roads, and other infrastructure required for the construction of a multifamily development. This plat also serves to establish portions of Airy Spring Street, Flower Street, and Rainy Wood Street rights-of-ways to support the expansion of and connectivity within the Crossroads at Kelly Park development. The plat is consistent with the Crossroads at Kelly Park Phase 3 multifamily tract MFB21 major development plan. approved by City Council on May 3rd, 2023, and the construction site plan approved by the Development Review Committee on June 15th, 2023. The DRC recommends approval at its meeting on May 14th, 2024. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the Kelly Park Multifamily Phase 3 plat. The recommended motion is to approve the plat. Staff and applicant are available for questions.
Any questions for Jean? Anybody from the public wish to speak on this one? Not, we'll close the public hearing. Look for motion to approve the plat for the Kelly Park Multifamily Phase 3 project.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Velasquez. Second by Commissioner Anderson. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next up, Marshall Lake Business Center. Bobby.
Good afternoon. For the record, Bobby Howell, Planning Manager. The applicant is requesting approval of a major development plan for 6 buildings totaling 43,900 square feet that is comprised of office, warehouse, and self-storage uses. The property is located at 780 Marshall Lake Road and is approximately 6.43 acres in size. As you can see, the future land use and zoning are industrial, so this is a permitted use on the property. The site will be accessed via 2 access points located on Marshall Lake Road. A total of 137 parking spaces are provided on site, 6 of which are accessible parking spaces. Stormwater is proposed to be discharged into a pond located on the southern portion of the site. The Development Review Committee recommends approval. The Planning Commission unanimously recommends approval. And the recommended motion this afternoon is approval of the Marshall Lake Business Center Major Development Plan. Myself and the applicant are here for questions.
Any questions for Bobby or the applicant?
I have a quick question. Because we just had a resident reach out about Marshall Lake here, is Marshall Lake finished all the way up to this new project or what's proposed, or is this developer going to finish that out here?
It's my understanding this developer would not finish this out. I don't know about the status of the road at Marshall Lake there, but last time I was out there, it did not appear that construction had begun. But I could defer to Public Works on that.
I'm sorry, repeat that again?
I said that the last time I was out on that part of Marshall Lake Road, it did not look like road construction had begun yet. But I would defer to Public Works on the timing of the construction there.
So the resident that was here had concerns about the infrastructure. Is this project part of that infrastructure that he had concerns? No.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody from the public wish to speak?
Albert McKimmey, 3603 Golden Gem Road. I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page. Marshall Lakes, there are accusations and allegations going on just now that the lake can be artificially manipulated, the height of the water in it, and that the infrastructure has been altered in such a way as it's now causing problems for some of the residents. I just want to verify that there's nothing over there that the city are aware of that would increase any flooding that the residents in that area are currently experiencing.
Anybody else from the public wish to speak on this matter?
Well, what's the answer to that question? Is there any concerns of that lake in any capacity?
Richard?
Good afternoon, Richard Earp. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the concern. Was it for Lake Marshall, flooding around Lake Marshall? I'm not aware of concern. Lake Marshall does have an outfall to the other lakes in the area, eventually flowing south towards Boy Scout Road, and then in a 100-year storm to the west towards Lake Apopka. So that lake is not a closed basin. There is an outfall. I haven't, other than some minor yard flooding during, the rainy times of the year, is the most I've ever heard of flooding on that lake.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, anybody else? All right, if not, we'll close the public hearing. Look for a motion to approve the major development plan for the Marshall Lake Business Center.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Smith.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Velasquez. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next up, Plymouth Sorrento Apartments Major Development Plan. Gene Sanchez.
Sanchez with the Community Development Department. This is a request to approve the Plymouth Sorrento Apartments Major Development Plan. The properties are located at 750 and 922 Plymouth Sorrento Road on the north of US 441, west of Plymouth Sorrento Road, and east of State Road 429, approximately 13 acres in size. The properties have a future land use of HDR 25 and within a PD zoning district established by ordinance number 3038. The major development plan proposes to construct 242 multifamily units with a density of 18.5 dwelling units per acre. The applicant has worked with staff to design the site to locate buildings, amenity, and recreation open space areas to ensure its compatibility with adjacent uses. This proposed multifamily development serves as a transition from the commercially intensive uses along 441 adjacent and those adjacent to State Road 429 to the existing family uses east of Plymouth Sorrento Road. Proposed ingress and egress points for the project are located on Plymouth Sorrento Road and on the southwestern portion of the proposed development at the intersection of Orange Avenue and US 441. The applicant also provides enhanced landscaping, building buffer of over 100 feet, and a decorative fence from Plymouth Sorrento Road as well. Dedication of a 30-foot right-of-way to the public is also provided along the project frontage on PSR. Proposed amenities include a resort-style pool, deck, club room, dog park, recreation lawn, fitness center, pet spa, conference room, workspaces, and outdoor grills in the centralized open area. Additionally, the applicant offers a 6-foot wide recreation trail surrounding the stormwater pond with benches and other amenity equipment. This proposed MDP is consistent with the master plan approved by the City Council concurrent with the establishment of the PD zoning district. The DRC recommends approval. At its meeting on May 14, 2024, the Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the Plymouth Sorrento Road Major Development Plan. Recommendation is to approve the Major Development Plan. Staff and applicant are available for questions.
Okay. Any questions for Jean?
I have a couple quick
Sure.
questions.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
go ahead. You're probably going to address the same thing.
Beauty before grace.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. Well, you know that we've all gotten emails from the resident that
Oh,
lives
you did?
opposite that. Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, she has several concerns and questions, and unfortunately, I can't answer those questions. I also, what's not being said here, this is quasi judicial, so it's pretty much a deal that's been done. It's been reviewed, and
Right, it meets land development code
right.
standards.
So, you know, here we are. Just, I can't answer some of the concerns. And I know that I've forwarded the emails, and the only thing I ask is if you can just expand on some of the questions that you had.
I don't recall too much of the questions. I know that there were concerns about the access on Orange Avenue and US 441. As I understand it, the applicant is still working with state agencies to finalize that signal design, correct? And I don't think it'll be finalized until the construction plan has been completed. There was some sort of concern about landscaping in the middle of the road and Plymouth Sorrento Road. That is not the case. It is a road striping that's indicated on there, and I know that has been addressed before by staff. So I'm not sure of all the other, I don't recall any other significant concerns.
Okay. Commissioner Nesta?
Yeah, the only other one is there's a landscape buffer all the way around the project, correct?
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
Correct.
So, and then so it's landscape buffer. So it's a 30-foot of right of way that they're dedicating, 10-foot landscape buffer. Then the kind of garages that are all single story, and then from there parking lot, and then the building from there. So it's, I don't know the exact. Is it 100 feet from the road?
It's a little bit over.
More than that. Okay.
Yeah.
So those were the concerns, obviously, of the residents in that area, the neighborhood across the street. So, and I know that second access point is still up in the air, but it's my understanding too, and let me know that it's, to your point, and you said just to reiterate it, that we have to wait on kind of these approvals for them to
The
get
final
there.
engineering, right?
Okay. And then is it the process of we take over some part of that land and then dedicate it back to them? Like the state gives it to us and we are deeding it back, or what's that process look like?
I'll let Nate.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, or good afternoon, Mayor and City Commissioners. My name is Jonathan Hewells with the Lowndes Law Firm, 215 North Eola Drive, Orlando. Commissioner Nesta, the current framework provides for CFX that owns a portion of that driveway. It's not demarcated on that site plan. It's a rather small area. Would be deeding it to the city, and then the developer or owner or operator, once it's constructed, would be entering into a driveway maintenance agreement that has the private owner taking on the ongoing maintenance responsibilities for that driveway.
Gotcha. Okay.
On the portions the small portion that would be on that right of way that technically
I thought it was something like that. I just didn't exactly understand that, so I
Yeah.
appreciate you clarifying that.
And a draft of that agreement has been drafted. It's been sent over to the city. I'm not sure if it's been gone through a final technical review by staff and attorney, but it's there waiting.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay. Any other questions? Not public comment?
Albert McKinney, 3603 Golden Gem Road. The applicant is going to be giving a 30-foot right-of-way on one side of the road. My question is, has the city been involved in any negotiations or questions with any real estate agent or anyone with respect to a property on the other side of the road? Is there any truth in the fact that City Roads Department had a valuation put on a property at the other side of the road by the resident that you were speaking about? If so, why? Is the city looking at some sort of eminent domain for increasing the capacity in that road at some time? And is it ethical for the city to be purporting to be someone who isn't to get a real estate value?
Anybody else?
Olson, 3156 Rolling Hills Lane, Apopka. Yes, I'm beating it to death again. We keep adding more and more and more. Fine, it beats code, but how is that coordinated with state and with county and with school funding to get schools in place? We suffer with overcrowding in our schools until we have enough students to fill a building, and we continue because of our growth to suffer that way. Our streets, our roads are not ready because, I think it's 2026. Albert, that they're going to widen Golden Gem, and we've got how many thousand homes going in there? We've got to tie this all together, and we count on you to do it. Continuing to rubber stamp this new development without having the roads and the infrastructure is abuse.
Anybody else? All right, close the public hearing. Look for a motion to approve the major development plan for the Plymouth Sorrento Apartments. Anybody?
Okay. So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Velasquez,
Second.
second by Commissioner Anderson. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next up, First Amendment to the amended and restated development agreement. Bobby Howe.
For the record, Bobby Howe, the planning manager. On July 15th, 2020, the city and the developer entered into an amended and restated development agreement regarding development of the Apopka City Center project, which under the terms of Exhibit G of that agreement permits multifamily development as non-subsidized market rent. The amendment that you have before this afternoon will strike the words non-subsidized market rent. Everything stays the same except for what's outlined in the staff report. If you have any questions, myself and the legal counsel can answer those for you.
Any questions for Bobby? Anybody from the public wish to speak on this one? Not, we'll close the public hearing. Before we close the public hearing, I just want to say, Bobby and the development team, community development, thank you for taking one for the team. I know you've got training the end of the week.
The 20th of June.
So appreciate y'all, doing that for us, even though it was not your mistake. It wasn't even most of us on this commission's our mistake. But anyway, appreciate what you guys do and for our community. So thank you. All right, with that, look for motion to approve the First Amendment to the amended and restated development agreement.
So can we just, for the public's knowledge, is what we have agreed to with the training and what we need to post in the city from this training?
Yeah, so the training is a result of the settlement between the city and HUD. Within 60 days of the effective date of the agreement, the city staff has to attend a fair housing training. That we found a training at the Marriott World Center on the 20th of June. That was approved by HUD's manager in Atlanta. And so we have signed up for that training. And then the city was required to put posters in prominent places in the building. 2 have been put in the lobby already, both in English and Spanish related to fair housing. 2 more will be ordered for upstairs in the community development department.
When does that have to go up there?
The posters are already there.
Okay.
We're just waiting on the other 2 to arrive.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. And to confirm too, and this may not be for you, but possibly our attorney or the mayor. There's 2 separate lawsuits going on here. One we settled,
Yes.
and then one is still actively happening.
This is the one we're settling.
Right. No, I understand.
Okay. Yes.
And there's
yes.
still one that is out there still.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. With that, look for motion to approve the First Amendment to the amended and restated development agreement.
So
Got a motion by Commissioner Velasquez,
Second.
second by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries unanimously. Next up, DO, Emerson Park Development.
Mayor and Commissioner, my name is David Atwood, Public Service Director. My presentation here on Emerson Park subdivision, it was a request made which is involving private to public ownership. So my presentation will outline all the activities staff conducted to address the Emerson Park homeowner request to have the development road, gutters, and street sign transfer from private to public ownership. The homeowner proposed as well to have the city create a MSBU, which is called a Municipal Service Business Unit, as a funding source, whereby the resident in that development will contribute funds in the 20-year period to bring these infrastructure to city standard, and for the city to accept the upgrade infrastructure for perpetual maintenance. Because there is no official process in the city code to the best of my knowledge, we have decided to perform all the due diligence and information gathering before bringing this homeowner request to the council for further advisement. So my presentation will peruse the development history, existing conditions, staff engagement with the homeowners administration, infrastructure assessment, basis of the cost estimate, what the homeowner decide to be responsible for, process that is needed to be pursued to make the homeowner request happen, as well as in the audience. We do have the homeowner president and 2 or 3 of the representative will be here to answer any question that you may have. So with that, I just want to give you an overview that Emerson Park subdivision is located in the intersection between Alston Boulevard, Bay Boulevard, and Apopka Boulevard. It constructed in 5 subdivision phase. It consists of residential building, townhouse, park, and other amenities. And it has a total of 504 units. This is from the property appraiser. From my conversation with the homeowner president, he said there are 500. But I just wanted to put the data there, what we got from the property appraiser. Emerson Park subdivision started the first phase of construction in 2007. It's completed the final phase in 2013. The development was permitted and platted as a private subdivision. That is, the homeowner is responsible for the maintenance of all the infrastructure and amenities. So, Emerson Park development was originally supposed to be gated, but due to the plan of creating small business at the entrance of the subdivision, this was never completed. So there is a total of 5 miles of roadway, 10 miles of sidewalk, and 3 miles of alleyways. With time frame, as you know, the road curb and gutter do not stand up to the current situation and need structural maintenance. And because the development was never gated, the general public used the road as a pass-through between Martin Road and Okoye Apopka Road. Currently, there are many roadway sections that have low pavement condition index, meaning the score of the road is low, so it needs structural repair. So there are many sections with sidewalk and curb that are damaged throughout the subdivision. The Emerson Park Homeowner Association, Jennifer Hayes, I think it's spelled wrong, the H-A-Y and the D-S, reached to our mayor wanting to discuss the following: public access situation, the current roadway condition, the subdivision not being gated even though the plat determined it should have been, and what the city process to enable the road and the related infrastructure to change from private to public ownership. A meeting was held on May the 16th with various members of the homeowner board and the city staff, where the following topics were discussed. The development was platted as a private and was supposed to be gated. Due to the change in plan, this never came to fruition, and the road would become public access as a pass-through between Martin Road and Okoye Apopka Road. The public access attributed to the Hasten roadway deterioration. The homeowner hired a private company to perform a preliminary evaluation and to create a remediation action plan. And it was discovered that the overall cost exceeded the homeowner budget allocated for the repair. Due to the limited funding to complete the structural repair of all these roadway and related infrastructure, the homeowner is requesting that the transfer of the roadway from private to public for ownership and perpetual maintenance. Staff explained that the private company study was very limited. The roadway need to be restored to the original condition per the city and roadway standards. And funding for the repair can be established through the MSDU or private funding. We were just providing some outline of information that they need to consider. We also indicate to set up an MSBU, the homeowner need to get the approval of at least 2/3 of the resident to be in favor of placing a fee on themselves to get the remediation done, as well as agreeing on the roadway, sidewalk, curb, and traffic sign transference from private to public ownership or perpetual maintenance. Staff explained to the homeowner representative that the city council approval is required for Emerson Park roadway transfers acceptance, as well as settlement of the MSBU funding for repair before any further advancement. City staff was asked to perform a preliminary evaluation of the entire subdivision roadway and right-of-way to determine what repair will be needed, and the mayor requests that we do so to get a better cost for the repair. So in summer, one of our staff, as you can see in the picture, they had conducted the investigation, and I'm going to turn over this presentation to him.
Thank you, Dio. Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Michael Ortiz. I'm the Program Supervisor for the Streets Division. In summer 2023, a preliminary evaluation was performed by Public Works staff on each of the phases within the subdivision as the condition of the roads, sidewalks, curbs, gutters, and street signs for the Emerson Park development. On October 6, 2023, a meeting was held with the HOA board members and city staff to review our evaluations as well as the estimated cost repairs. During the meeting, the HOA requested us to show our findings to the Emerson Park residents for their feedback. On November 30th, 2023, staff made the presentation of our findings to the respective repairs needed to the residents and the methods needed to bring them up to standards. So this is the evaluation that the city did. We did the roadways, the pavement markings, sidewalks, curbs, and gutters, street signs. We even did the alleyways, but in conclusion, the HOA will still maintain the alleyways. The assumptions, what we didn't do the study on was the retention ponds, the common areas, stairs, and amenities. Field reviews, there's another map I'm going to show with all the different phases, and we did notice a difference of deficiencies through the phases as progressive. And then the connectivity infrastructure, curbs, gutters, and sidewalks and street signs, we also did evaluations on. So as you can see here, here's a little map of the overall construction plan that was provided throughout the subdivision. And then these are the examples that we gathered data with our GPS tools. So this is what we were looking when we did our evaluation throughout the whole subdivision. So the solid red lines are the main roads, the dotted red lines are the alleyways, the green dots are the broken cracked curbs, and the light blue are the sidewalks. And that's what we did for the whole subdivision. The yellow dots are all the street signs. So this cost was taken from our contract that was last year. These prices did change, and I'll show later on the updated prices. But this was what was presented to the HOA at that time. The main road's estimated cost is $1,886,408.16. The sidewalk estimated cost is $90,450. The curb is $27,900. The alleyways is $486,886.40, and the signs are $27,250. The total cost for the phases to be repaired and brought up to standards is $2,518,894.56. I do want to note the alleyway cost, we did deduct it when you show the breakdown on the later on slides. So, the overall goal for this was to transfer the main road, sidewalk, curbs, and street signs over to the city for public access and maintenance. In order for this, the residents and the HOA needs to vote at least 2/3 in favor of the transfer of the private to public for city maintenance. And then afterwards, we have to bring it up to city council for your guys' approval. Now, private to public ownership requirements. Standards do need to be brought up, so all the deficiencies need to be repaired. All survey and legal descriptions need to be sent over to us for record keeping. Any liens or liabilities need to be resolved before the transfer can occur. HOA will still be responsible for the amenities, the retention ponds and conveyance system, alleyways, stairs, and common areas and trees. The brick pavers, we are going to replace them with asphalt if we do take over the ownership of the main roads. So a couple of options for the finance repairs. We could do the MSBU, where the homeowners will pay an annual fee. It is added to the property taxes, or the HOA could seek out a private loan to fund the repairs. I do want to note that the MSBU loan will be to the house itself and not the owner. So this is the summary costs. As you can see, we deducted the alleyway because that will be the HOA's responsibility, and we're left with the $2,032,800.16. $8.16. So there's a total number of 504 homes. Again, we did take that from the property appraisal, and that's where we did this cost basically breakdown. Each home owner will be responsible for $4,031.76. We're trying to set up the MSBU for a 20-year loan, where the homeowner will have to just pay $201.59 per year. Now, this is the difference in price. You can see it increased about $1 million right there. And this is what current cost estimates with new contracts and for sidewalks and roadways. And the new price for the repairs is $3,048,012.24. And then the breakdown for the 20 years per home will be $302.38. In December 2023, the Emerson Park HOA mailed out the ballots to each of the residents considering the MSBU roadway transfer. Ballots were received and tallied on February 15, 2024, and the results were the following. HOA sent a total of 504 ballots. Ballots received was 365. Ballots voting in yes was 342. Ballots voting in no were 13. And 9 ballots were not included due to missing information. And overall, 96% of the return ballots was in favor of the MSBU. On February 28, 2024, the HOA met with the city staff to discuss the next steps. MSBU roadway transfer will have to get approval by City Council. City staff will have to present the information to Council. Funding received by the MSBU will be used to bring up all the deficiencies up to standards, and then the main roads afterwards will be transferred, and the right-of-way will be transferred to City. So to conclude, I'll pass it over back to Dio.
So with that said, we are here to tell the council this is all that we have done in terms of the information gathering. And with the following information presented, we are asking the council for the approval or denial on the following. Accept in principle the request from the homeowner to transfer the Emerson Park roadway, sidewalk, curb and gutters, and traffic sign to the city for perpetual maintenance, because there is no process. So we're on the action here for advisement. Approve the request to set up an MSB for 20 years to reimburse the city for the cost to bring the roadway, curb and gutters, and traffic signs to acceptable city standards. And the MST intermission, The City Council will advise staff on how to fund the restoration while we wait for the MSBU to be finalized. It will take a year by us to put out public notices in the event and to then start to collect from the resident. It will be a year. So these are all the information that we gather from knowledge or experience are presented here as guidance to you for consideration. Alternatively, the council can disapprove the MSBU option and request the homeowner to seek out a private bank loan to finance the repair. We don't know how that methodology will go, but those are ideas that we thought that we share with them. Once all the standards have been met, survey and legal description of the right of way are recorded, the main road and related infrastructure will then be transferred to a resolution for perpetual well maintenance. So what you're finding here is what we thought from our research and information gathering is that we are presenting it to you. We have the homeowner, president, and representative in the audience. So I think it is better if the council approve for them to come and present their case to you, because this is not a process-oriented process here. This is where you have to make a determination of accepting private gated well committee, which is plotted to public for perpetual maintenance. So Jennifer.
Come on down, Jennifer.
Yeah.
So,
Or do you want to, I thought, let's let
let her, okay.
the HOA come down, and then we can bounce between the two as far as
Okay.
questions. Let's,
Hi, Mayor. Hi, Commissioners. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen to our request. Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, I have plenty, but
Well, what we
I'd
need-
like you to present.
let's do one thing. I think one of the things that I think the commissioner need to know, kind of give us the history. I know they're talking about the roadways but can we go back to the history, because
Absolutely.
I know it's a little bit of it's still fuzzy
Okay.
but it would be a helpful thing for everybody to get that.
Sure.
Yep.
So Centex purchased this property and started building in 2007. 2008 was the housing crash. Centex got bought out by Pulte. So for 2 years until 2010, Lennar then purchased the property from Centex Pulte and continued. So only part of the development was done out of the 500 homes. It finished actually in 2014. So it took 7 years for this development to happen. We are the only subdivision that goes directly from Marden Road to Apopka. The only way to get to Apopka is through Emerson Park. Unfortunately, Lennar left and they did not put the gates up. There were no gates installed for our private roads. Once they left, we built the first board. I'm not part of the first board. I've only been on for 4 years. That board then learned that our roads were private and that we needed to be saving for them. So for those 7 years, no one was saving for private roads. So we are very behind in collecting the dues. And as you guys know, the increase for any product has gone up exponentially because of COVID and all of those things. So we are very behind. You guys have anything else to say?
Any other? Okay, well, if that, I'll start out with Commissioner Nesta. You want to got some questions for, and just whoever do you need? You want the HOA, or do you need Dio or Michael, whichever?
Yeah, I'll bounce around a little bit
Okay,
here.
sure,
So the vote that the HOA took, is there an expiration to when action needs to be taken on that approval?
Tracy, do you know? Okay. Our management company is here as well.
So it's just in perpetuity?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Has there been any maintenance on the roads from date of inception to today?
Yes, we have done pothole repairs and things of that nature. However, we do have Greystone Development that's at the very corner of Apopka and Alston Bay. And so that is a business that has used our roads in addition to just any other person driving through Apopka. So we do have a lot of roadway wear and tear.
So, and just to clarify, residents could go down to Keene Road and connect to Claricono, or so they don't necessarily have to go through your community. So it's not guaranteed.
Until they build Harmon Road,
yeah.
Anybody coming off the 414, that how the GPS would take them. Even today, if they're doing the construction for Park Square, the GPS sends them through our neighborhood with all the tractor trailers and heavy equipment. I just see all the time going up and down the street because it's the easiest way to get into there.
Right.
Okay.
Also, Keene Road, I'm not sure if you do, but once you get up to Keene Road at Apopka, there are just a line of cars waiting to turn left because there's no street light currently there. So it's
Which is coming.
Yeah.
Do the businesses contribute to your HOA fees in any capacity?
No, they do. However, we have a road share agreement, and so they contribute a small portion into the road. Any potholes, the sidewalk, and our green spaces that we're responsible for, but only Alston Bay from the beginning where they are, not the entire subdivision.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then there was a note somewhere on one of the slides that says the Greystone and Park Square are a separate conversation.
Correct.
What's that conversation?
So what we'd have to do is just create a new road share agreement with them. If we do go from private to public, they would no longer contribute to any portion of the road or sidewalk, just the green spaces. So we just have to amend our road share agreement.
Okay. And then I guess let's walk through the financials, or just kind of high level. How much you guys have saved? Because it's been, although you guys said from 2014 to now, it's a decade of fees. How much do we have saved for roads right now?
So our entire road reserve, or I'm sorry, not road reserves, our entire reserves is 1.5. However, we are responsible for many other things, so not all of that is contributed just to roadways. And so unfortunately, because there was no savings for those first 7 years, we don't have the funds.
Do you guys anticipate or plan to contribute in any capacity to kind of partnering with us in this, or is the expectation that we pay it all?
Yes, so we are using our road reserves to pay for the alleyways, and we're going to maintain responsibility of those moving forward. So that is not something the city would have to keep up or maintain.
Okay, so but not towards the 3 million. I guess you guys are taking on the 700,000.
No, they have to bring the road up to the standard.
Yes.
Before we accept it.
Correct.
Which road? All of them?
All of them.
All of them.
Yeah, they have to get the loan
the MSBU
to fix all the roads, and then at that point, when Dio and Michael are satisfied that the roads meet our city standards, then we would then accept those roads.
So all of our community, the 500 homeowners, would pay over that 20-year period. If you guys approve the MSBU for that time period, we would pay that portion of 307 a year.
So for 20 years, you'll be paying the city back.
Yes.
But for 20 years, we have to maintain those roads during those 20 years.
Correct. But I think it
after it's been
yes.
Yeah.
It's been repaired.
It'll be like a brand new road.
Yes. Which lasts I can't speak on that. How long do roads last?
One of the questions here to think about, if we are going to set up the MSBU collection of money would not be effective, to my understanding, Chuck can help me out here, until next year. Right.
Until what?
Until next year. It takes 1 year for the process for us to go to public hearing to set up the MSBU, right, in such a way that the resident can pay that fee, right, to the city. In the meantime, it'll be an entire year before we can start to collect any revenue. In the meantime, that's why on my slide I say in the intermission in 2025, 26, in the intermission, that road will still be private. So the longer you wait to fix that road, right, the suggestion is that somebody will have to upfront some money to fix that road, right? Or else if you wait for in a 20-year period, right, you can't piecemeal that road. You have to resurface the entire subdivision, right? So we have to get up some money up front within a year or two, and that is a determination I made here. It is something that the council will have to consider in the deliberation as well.
So it isn't the MSBU that's funding it. We're funding it. The MSBU is set up and then
set up
us back.
Exactly. That is exactly.
Okay, so we're still paying for it though.
Yes.
Up front. I need to find $3 million.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Right. That's correct.
Chuck, why don't you go over kind of the MSBU process, just so everybody,
Well,
and then we'll get back to it. Let me let
because
Chuck.
the MSBU.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let Chuck kind of just walk you through.
An MSBU is a funding source that the residents that benefit by the improvements pay back or receive a benefit that the rest of the city doesn't. So basically, what happened is I would bring forward a document saying that you would like to create the MSBU for the Emerson Park area. We would have to advertise that in accordance with state statute. It has to have 4 advertisements. It has to be set up and approved prior to the end of a calendar year. So basically, all the advertising would need to be done through November, with it being approved in December. An MSBU, once created, does not take effect until the next fiscal year. So, meaning if it's created this year, by the end of the calendar year, it would not take effect till the following fiscal year to start collecting that revenue. So, you, as Dio stipulated, you all would be fronting the money to the roadway improvements and collecting it based on those revenues that come in on an annual basis off the MSBU over a 20-year period. Any questions on that? Okay.
I'm good right now. I may have more later, but I'm good right now. Thank you.
Commissioner Smith?
Has the HOA seek funding elsewhere in order to get the roads done?
No, we have not. We heard from our management company that this would be the better route to go, the safer route, instead of bankrupting us by being responsible, because usually loans only last about 5 years. And with the amount that our HOA already pays, to then put another $1,000 or so on them every single year, we would go bankrupt.
But you could also set up an MSBU that we don't front. I mean, if you had an MSBU in place, a bank, that is a lot better financial asset than is an HOA due. HOA dues are not worth 2 cents. But an MSBU, if you went to a bank, would loan you money on. Now, it might be more than whatever rate we came up with. Don't we hadn't even talked to Blanche about that, but probably would be a higher rate, but still, I think a fairly reasonable rate, because they know they're going to get paid as well. It's not it's a guaranteed payment, unless the world collapses completely, because it's a property tax that's added onto your tax bill. So regardless even if you get foreclosed on, the next owner has to pay for that. So
correct.
I mean, so I don't know if that, as far as the financing, it could be, but they have to establish an MSBU to do whatever. They don't have to, but
if it's privately owned, there could not be an MSBU. If it's special assessment for the HOA, but the MSBU is going to be for a public asset.
Right. No, but I'm saying that it's set up the MSBU. It can either be funded, front loaded by us, the city, or it could be a bank loan. Or is that not?
I'm trying to put the pieces together, because I think I might have it. So the thought being that if they fronted the money.
No, if a bank fronted the money versus the city fronting the money.
That's what I mean. But I'm trying to get to it being the MSBU pays back the city.
Or the bank.
But there's not, I'm not aware of an MSBU, a private MSBU. MSBU is a public funding.
Okay, so it can't, okay. So they have to go get a bank loan, which would probably be, okay.
Right.
Okay.
And these are set up in phases, so I don't know if that helps with the financial cost to do phase 1 first, and but not front all the money all at the same time. I'm not sure how that works. But we did do a very large campaign in about 60 days' time, and we were able to get 95% of our residents of 500 homes with at least 1,500 people in those residences to agree to this. So we would love the city's help.
It was 95% of the voting members.
Yes.
Okay.
There's other development is going on in Emerson Park. So is the remainder of that development private as well?
Park Square Homes is not part of Emerson Park. I have no idea. They do have alleyways, and I know the city does not maintain alleyways, so I imagine that their streets could be private. The only way to access it is through Alston Bay, which is a private road. So it's kind of weird how that was developed and set up.
Commissioner Velasquez.
Okay, a lot of questions. So when Centrix left, was there a lawsuit or, was anything filed against Centrix when they did not complete your development by putting gates up or anything?
No,
So when Lennar took it over,
right.
were they aware that that was private roads and there was some expectation from them as the builder and developer that you were expecting for the roads, for the gates to be put up?
I can't speak on their behalf, but I would say their legal teams obviously agreed on this decision to purchase it, and so they would know all that information. I can tell you, when we went around and collected the votes, there was no one in our community except for maybe 5 residents total that even knew when purchasing that our roads were private. I am one of those people that purchased in 2014 directly from Lennar. I was never made aware that our streets were private and that we would be responsible for them once they left. Never. They did not disclose that.
So I have one question then I have a list of things here. So when Lennar took over, and this is for our staff, are they required to come into the city to let us know that they are now taking over the development? No. So they're not, okay. So in May of last year, you contacted the mayor.
Yes.
How many meetings did you have with him?
Probably 6.
6.
Total with some of the staff. Just because this is a new process, this isn't my background. I am social media. That's what I do. So I didn't know how to even start this process.
So I will say this. I was unaware of anything that was going on there, meetings with the mayor, with the HOA, with our staff, until February of 2024. I happened to go to your subdivision for something not related, went to drop off. And when I got there, the resident that I went to see said, I just had someone knock on my door to sign a petition for the city's going to be taking over our roads. And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But the gentleman
Dave,
that
yes.
was knocking on doors happened to be on the block. And I called him over. And we spent about 45 minutes, if not more, where I kind of been brought up to date.
Okay.
So my concern is that this is a big ask. And you've had 6 meetings with the mayor and staff. Obviously, you've even been in the city. Then we had our own staff out there doing, I guess, evaluating the entire community. I don't even know how many hours we've put in on our own. And then here you have 10/6. Was there another meeting on October 6th? Is that? No, because you said October 6th. What was that? Was that another meeting with the HOA?
Yeah, there was one in October and then one more in November, and then the other one was over here.
So the question is, why weren't we aware of it as a council to even, I just feel bad that they're here on a date asking for today, asking for a vote for us, the city taxpayers, and for us to say, okay, we're going to front this huge expense for their roads. I understand the dilemma they're in, but to come one day and say, this is everything that we've done. There's been a lot of time with staff effort to even, I just feel like this should not be voted on today.
So, Commissioner, that's a very good question. But what we were trying to do, like I said at the beginning of the presentation, there is no process that was established here. So, when the request came in from the homeowner talking to the mayor, several meetings we had with staff and various people to understand what are the process. Even now, we really did not understand what are all the process regarding MSBU. But what happened in November was the request from the homeowner association was that if we could present our findings that we had did, right, to all the residents so that they can have a feel of the amount of dollars they're looking at if they were to set up an MSBU. So we just do a due diligence before bringing it back to the board or the mayor request to get all the information so that their request from the original, we told them that no one of us could make that determination. It has to come back to the board. So they knew that the board have the final say. What we were doing as staff is in coordination with the mayor to get all the I dot and all the T cross so that we are here to present to you what we did, what the finding, and to make the yes or the no from your end easier here. And that's what the whole process that we had followed.
And Mr. Deodat, I do understand that, but one of the concerns that I have is that this has been going on for over a year. At some point, we should have been, even if it was, we do other you just did a presentation on capital improvements where you're letting us know what's coming ahead. These were approved. This is what we're doing. You even have a whole presentation. That wasn't done with this one.
You're correct. That's right. You're right.
I mean, and so you come on the last, I'm going to say the last step of this process, because it's now a process. You have followed some kind of process along the way. And you're really asking the board, here, approve $3 million. We got the MSBU.
No. My request is not asking the board to approve. My request is asking you for advisement. You either say yes or you say no. I am presenting all this information that we gathered. But you're correct. I agree with you. Is that the basic instruction that we as staff was following is in coordination with the homeowner and on the mayor advisement to get all the gathering of the fact. In answering to your question, you're correct. Whether we should have been here in the interim and make that presentation to you, maybe it's a bad judgment, but we were trying to get everything here to present to you at one time.
So now, these 6 meetings that you had with the mayor, your HOA, were minutes taken?
No, they were all information meetings. No.
So I have nothing to kind of see what the conversations were about, what was recommending, whose advice was. I have nothing. I mean, I have what you have done with the staff, but I have nothing as to what discussions were taken during that time or how this even got initiated.
Right, but there were some email. Like right now, I'm here presented this. This came in as an email request from Jennifer, telling us that we have done a proactive step. We have the vote 96% of the return ballot say yes. We would like you to take it to the council, and that's what the request that we act on.
And we're not in a rush. If tabling this,
right,
I would tell you what, I would recommend tabling it because it is a big ask.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I will tell you the truth. Our new commissioner, we're trying to bring her on board, but we have our Commissioner Smith and Commissioner Nestor. This is the first time that they're kind of hearing that. I don't even know if they knew that I knew about it in February, where he was just collecting petitions. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to go home and look through my file. You did give me a copy of what you were knocking on the door and having the residents. I mean, you put in the effort because I saw you that day was actually very cold, and but you were knocking on doors way past 6 o'clock.
Yes.
And I really understand what the dilemma is. I understand what it means to Emerson Park. It is a beautiful community. Unfortunately, your streets and your roads are not up to par. But if we had $3 million to front for you, I need $3 million for so much of the other infrastructure. I have other residents who are coming to us to tell us the same thing about their community and their development. So the only thing I ask is that we were unaware of this entire year and a half of meetings with your HOA. I don't have any information. I have what our staff is presenting to us, but I don't have how it even started and what you have done before you came to us.
You know, I agree with you. And the whole purpose behind this meeting today was this is what we're trying to do. You know, as you know, he mentioned here, this has never been done before within the city. There is no framework to do it. So it was kind of, when do we come to the council? You know, we had to get the approval of our voters, you know, the homeowners. And that's what we were doing when I met you back in February, before we could even come to take up your time. Because for us as a board of directors for the HOA to come before city council where we do not have the support of the homeowners to do something like this, would, to me, would have been not good use of your time. So what we're looking at, and as Mayor Nelson mentioned, we're not in a big hurry here, but time is of the essence too. So the purpose of this was exactly what you're doing today, asking us questions, asking the staff the questions, and then where do we go from here? You know, is there a process that we want to establish? Is there, what steps would city council like us to take to move forward on this? And that's the whole purpose of this.
Okay, I appreciate that, and I think I've taken a lot of time. But to also, I just want to express that I am sympathetic of what's going on. I just feel like we should have had this information in increments, just as it was going along, so that we could understand what we were committing to, and what, I mean, you've put in a lot of work to get to today.
But it was work that needed to be done prior to coming to you.
Right.
You know, it's not, no blue sky here. You know, this
No.
is what we would like to do.
And that's our job here. Our job is to work with our residents, is to really help them and assist with them, and certainly provide this quality of service that we're very proud of providing to all our residents in their community. But again, coming on the last day, because I'm going to say this is your last step, and say, okay, here it all is. And for us not to have known that this process was even going on is a surprise to me.
The only thing I would disagree, this is not the last step. This is the first step
Well,
in working with the
you're
city.
correct, and I misspoke by saying the last step, but it would be the first step for you to start
Right.
kind of bringing the streets and the
How
roads
do
up to
how do
code.
we, you know, move forward from here?
So all I'm asking is that we kind of table this, and it would give us time for each of the commissioners to either sit individually with our chief administrator, because that's how it's done. We do not meet
Right.
privately, so that we can be brought up to par about this and really understand what I am committing the taxpayers' dollars to.
We are, you know, we will welcome the opportunity to sit down with each one of you individually to any questions, because I'm sure more questions are developing in your heads as we're up here talking, and we'll be glad to sit down with you at your convenience.
And so, and in the mayor's defense, I will say this: when he was meeting with the HOAs, we can't all just come and show up and sit there. We could have shown up if it was publicly noticed, and the only thing would have been required from us is not to participate in the discussion. And some of the things that he may have recommended to you, he probably couldn't recommend because, you know, it was going to come up for a vote. So, but the whole thing was that there were opportunities in the last year and a half to have come and made some presentation. Look, we have this, Emerson Park is coming to us. We're having this, they're having these issues, and this is what we're doing, you know, step one, step two, whatever it was. But it wasn't done, and I just feel bad that you're here today, and it's a big, it really is a big decision to make. And I don't want to say no, but saying yes would be irresponsible for us and the
You don't have enough information at this point. We agree with you, and that's why we're here
So I'm
today.
asking you to just allow us the time. Thank you.
As much time as you
Commissioner
need.
Anderson.
I just want to just say, it's kind of alarming listening to the different builders that were actually involved. So the Emerson Park development agreement, have your HOA attorney looked over that agreement to see if there's any type of breach with the builders?
We have spoken with our attorney, but she has not advised that, no.
Okay, so I think, because if there was an original agreement for there to be a gated community, something happened within
It's
that.
in our documents, yeah.
And you were one of the original owners that
Yes.
was, so you purchased from Lennar,
Correct.
and there was no disclosures disclosing that.
No.
Okay. So I think, yeah, there's probably should be a further discussion with your attorney, with the HOA attorney, to figure out kind of what happened with that. Because
Right.
if that was the initial agreement, then it could possibly be something that the attorney probably needs to look at.
Right.
So
I wanted to just say one more fact, and that is we have private roads, even though they are public and everybody uses them. We have to pay APD to come in and patrol our community because we're private roads. So we have to pay out of our HOA dues for APD to come in and give a ticket or anything like that. And I spoke with one of those officers recently who picks up a lot of shifts. And I asked him, when you give tickets for stop sign runners, speeders, so on and so forth, is it the residents? And he said no. The majority of tickets he gives out are not residents. That just tells you how many people use us as a pass-through. I appreciate your time.
And let me ask you one last question. Should you have the need to seek funding elsewhere in order to have your roads taken care of?
Yes.
Is it too late to put the gates up now?
We would have to go through that whole voting process again, get 2/3 of the community to agree to the gates, and they're already in disagreement because they would like to go this route. In addition to that, I did get the funding cost for adding the gates and then having to maintain the roads privately, and it was going to be an additional $100 a month, $1,200 a year to have gates installed and maintain the roads.
What are your current dues?
We pay, well, we have townhomes,
Mhm.
and so they pay a different price. It's around $380,
Okay.
and then the single family pays $127.
Okay. And one final thought too, and I appreciate you guys up here in transparency. I know it's not easy, and I want to thank you for that. And I just want to say, I'll speak for myself, is that I'm hesitant on this only because we've had other HOAs come to us and tried to extort us for certain things and kind of lie to us in certain capacities with different members of this board. So we just like to ask a lot of questions, at least I do, to make sure that we're not in that scenario, and I can justify this to other residents that why we're doing something that we're doing. So
sure.
I definitely think it would be valuable to meet individually with each and every one of us. Yeah. I definitely got a couple different ideas of how we can work around this and make it work for both sides, and where I can tell a resident, yes, this is why it makes sense that we did that. So if you want to reach out, please do, and let's get the ball rolling. And I know that we're not in a rush, but at the same time, these roads don't get cheaper and they don't get in better condition as we wait. So something needs to happen, and I would love to work with you guys on in that capacity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I prefer email as opposed to phone calls because I'm not buying solar. I'm not selling my house. I don't need extended warranty. So if you email me, then you'll get a response.
Good, because I prefer email as well. So.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So public comment, come on up.
Albert McKinney, 3603 Golden Gem Road. As a resident who's been disenfranchised by the road system in Apopka, I sympathise with the residents who came here today. However, I would remind the Commission that what you're voting on today isn't necessarily a one-off issue. You may be creating a precedent whereby other HOAs will come to you and ask for similar dispensation. So that the other thing that it occurs to me is our critical infrastructure is in a really poor way. Yet we seem to have time to deal with HOAs when that tends to suggest a little bit of an inconsistency to me, because our roads department can't even negotiate with Orange County to fix Golden Gem Road. Yeah? but we have time for the critical infrastructure to deal with HOAs. There's no parity in that.
Okay, anybody else?
It's in 3156 Rolling Hills Lane in Apopka. I empathize with the challenge that you guys have and understand it. At the same time, you need to just ride up and down Vic Road. You need to ride up and down anywhere through, I'll get it, Rock Springs Ridge. When you look at the road conditions that we have overall, taking on additional roads into the condition that we saw is, as a taxpayer question, I would feel much better if you guys had been to these 5 banks. This is the rate that we have. This is what we do. And certainly, as a taxpayer, I want to be responsible at the same time, understand your plight. But I think a little bit more homework, I'd feel better about it. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. I don't know.
We got one more, I think.
Oh.
Leroy Bell, Mount Helen. Your supervisor, Mr. Booty, okay, he just came out to our place out at Mount Helen. And these residents that was built 2 and 3 years ago, the infrastructure wasn't put in correctly in the first place. He found out in Mount Helen that we had about a ½ inch of top soil or whatever you call, and then you put the pavement over. It's cracking up. He just came out and patched up a bunch of holes and stuff out in Mount Helen. And that's a city road. So I don't understand why that when a HOA come to the city and come to the mayor, it's only fair that if we're going to do some stuff like this, everybody needs to be involved in it, because he's not the only one to make a decision when it comes up to this vote. And everybody don't need to be at the last month putting the cart ahead of the horse. Every commissioner needs to be a part of it from the beginning to the end. This way they be well abreast of what's going on. So what we need to do is this, and start getting more information, then it'll be better.
Good afternoon again, Sylvester Hall, 3091 Rolling Hills Lane. A couple things. Remember a couple of city council meetings ago, I pushed for the city commissioners to have a stipend, 75 or half of what the mayor salary is. And that is really needed. I'm going to approach this from a homeowner. I own my house. You guys represent the city of Apopka. I should know when my roof need to be repaired. I should know when I need plumbing. I should know when my lawn need to be cut. I should know when my driveway need to be repaired. I love Emerson Park. I considered moving there some years ago. Emerson Park shouldn't have to come to the city. We need you guys out exploring the city and saying this is what needs to be done, and you bring it back as a whole and make those decisions. Because just imagine, I'm living in my home and I'm waiting on somebody to come tell me, hey, knock on my door. Your roof need to be repaired. Can't you see it's leaking? Well, we're supposed to ride through our city every day. Ride through and ride through and ride through. Well, what we do when we're riding through? What do we bring back? And everybody here on this panel has the power to make a motion. And so my concept of leadership from the city, you guys need to be paid because, this is a very demanding job. And when you do it on a sub-part-time basis, it's very disrespectful to the city. It's very unsafe for the city. And we need to do better on that. When it comes to dealing with each other, there's a big problem when you look at integrity. Because if you knew something February, nobody else knew about it. We're not sharing information. So there's got to be a way that we need to be able to share information. So if we can't just meet as a group, everybody need to have that same information so they can sit down and they can look through it and we can give an intelligent decision when it comes up here. We're just not winging it. If you're not an electrician, how the world you know when somebody's snowing you? If you're not a real estate agent, how you know when somebody's snowing you? If you're not a plumber. So everybody can come up here and say something that sounds good. So we just have to do better with our leadership and going out and protecting the city of Apopka. Because it starts with the city, the state, and then our country. That's how we make it a better place. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, Drew, I know we can postpone to the next meeting, but it looks like we probably gonna need a little more than just. Can we go farther out and do a date?
This was not a notice, an advertised notice. So you can table out as far as you want to. You don't even have to table to a date certain. You just need, if you table it, you can bring it back when it's ready to come back.
I'd like to set a date. I don't care what date you guys decide on. I mean, but if you want to go 2 months out, I mean, I'd like to give them at least some certainty that we're going to meet. If you want to do it July or August.
July, we have the budgeting. July, we have.
Yeah, do you want to do it first meeting in August? Does that work for everybody? We got to meet anyway, so it would be.
But we have don't we have the Florida League of Cities also in August? Right? What days are those in August for the?
I don't know. It's not on City Council Day, so I mean.
No, we have the City Council days for August is the 7th.
Yeah.
And the 21st.
Does that either date work for?
I mean, I'm always here for the council meetings.
So either day or earlier or later, it's your.
Well, we want to be able to have the HOA come here. Is it easier for them? Are they still here? Oh, is it easier a day meeting or an evening meeting for you?
Evening, you want?
An evening?
So
okay.
You
so
want
that
to do
would
it
be the August 21st. That's our
21st, August 21st?
But do we want to give them more time so they can actually do some more research, look out for some banks or something?
We have,
August 21st.
But we're talking
21st?
August.
Okay.
So we're saying.
I give them some time to
This
kind of get
is
some more.
June, July, August is almost 3 months.
Yeah.
3 months.
Is
Okay.
that good? Is that good?
And that still gives us time to, if they needed to.
Okay, so
start.
we'll table this.
Okay. So you want to make a motion, Commissioner Velasquez, to table this item until August 21st?
Okay, so that would be, and to table the Emerson Park development. That is the business item number 5 on the city council meeting of today, which is June 5th of 2024, that we table this business item until toward August, our second council meeting of August, which would be August 21st at 1900 hours.
Okay, got a motion by Commissioner Velasquez. Second by Commissioner Nesta. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, public hearings, ordinance number 3029.
Ordinance number 3029. An ordinance of the City of Apopka, Florida, amending the City of Apopka Comprehensive Plan, repealing and replacing the transportation element in its entirety, providing for legislative findings, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and for an effective date.
All right.
I have to tell Bobby, thank you. In my absence, he was able to get this advertised, and I believe he brought it to you at a previous meeting so that you could get the preview. We're trying to update the transportation element. We're doing it separate from the rest of the comprehensive plan. The majority of it was funded by our partners at Metro Plan, although we did have to spend a little bit of our transportation impact fee money. And in the trying to get things moving, where am I?
Okay, I have Mike Woodward and Evan Magley with Kimley Horn here, who have done the heavy lifting on this, and they're going to do a quick presentation, and then we're going to ask you to approve the transmittal.
So, hi everybody, Mike Woodward. It's good to be back. As Pam mentioned, we're going to be pretty quick today. This is more of a summary, and then we'll cover some of the comments that have happened since we spoke to you last on May 15th. And so here's the process, pretty much straightforward. This is based on statute, and this is just the normal way of going through these comp plan amendments. And it's very important because the last one was about 15 years old, so it's time. But right now we're going to have this public hearing and ask for your recommendation to transmit to the Department of Commerce, who will then have 30 days to review. I anticipate very few comments, if any. They typically review for internal consistency, and they want to make sure that we're being transparent and raising issues. They don't typically have too many other comments as long as those things are met. So then we would look to come back potentially July 17th. It doesn't have to be that one. If that's a budget meeting that's going to go along, it doesn't have to be that date, but we would come back after comments from the Department of Commerce and ask for your adoption. Okay, so what is the transportation element update? What are we talking about today? This includes the data inventory and analysis, where we came up with new goals, objectives, and policies. We obtained some input from the Planning Commission as well as from the public. And overall, the story is there are no existing deficiencies based on 2022 traffic data. By 2034, there will be several deficiencies. Some of those can get mitigated through improvements. Then by 2050, there will be a lot of congestion everywhere in pretty much every city throughout the country. In Apopka in particular, US 441, Binion Road, State Road 436, a handful of others. Some of the roadway improvements, and we've got the timing in here is very much a guess based on forecasts of development patterns and other traffic patterns. But we think that these will likely be improved in the sort of pink color by 2034, then in the yellow by 2050. Now, the exact time frame really depends on the need and the availability for financing, as well as other processes for roadway improvements. Most of the roadway improvements are widenings and extensions near the Kelly Park interchange and East Shores area. And most of the city's improvements are going to be at intersections. A lot of them will be via developers or county or state partnerships. And the intersection improvements are intended to maximize the efficiency of the system. We have some initial ideas of what types of improvements would be implemented there, but again, this is not prescriptive. This is our idea at this time. Once it becomes a need and moves closer, it would be prudent to reevaluate and select the most appropriate improvement at that time. As far as the goals, objectives, and policies, we broke it down into three main goals. One is to have a resilient and connected multimodal transportation system. Goal number 2 is just infrastructure. Where can we provide infrastructure? Goal number 3 is all about the funding, right? Where's the money going to come from to implement these improvements, and what does that capital improvement plan look like? So from the public input, some of the comments that we had last time we were here, there was a question on data collection and when that occurred, and I just mentioned that it was done in 2022 prior to our involvement undertaking this analysis. There was some discussion on the timing of Welch Road and when that would be needed and when it could be improved. And one other point there is that would be a partnership project since that's a county road. That's something that the city would benefit city residents, and so it would be appropriate to advocate for it. But with that being a county road and relatively expensive, we definitely want to work with them. There was a question about the dates and whether they're set in stone or could the improvements be done sooner, and certainly the dates are tentative. The timeline is really dependent on the actual need and the funding. So whenever those things line up, that's when the improvement would move forward. Whether that's sooner or later than this plan, everything's okay. We just need to have a plan in place. And then there's a question on whether this can tie back to a strategic plan, and yes, all of the elements, including this transportation element, should be internally consistent. And then as those other elements are updated, there will be coordination with the goals, objectives, and policies here. Now, on the 14th of May, we met with the Planning Commission and got their input. There was one comment about language pertaining to single occupant vehicle dependency. And we reworded that in a way that I feel like is a lot better. I really appreciated that comment and thought that the new language, the modified language, is pretty solid. However, the planning commissioner, Commissioner Dumais, felt like we only met him halfway, and in that meeting, he said that he would, on principle, vote against recommending this to the overall commission. So, if there's questions on that, I can get into that. I brought my computer up here so I could read the specifics in case you're curious. But again, I feel like it's based on alternatives and options for connectivity, which is important. There was a question about how do we improve deficiencies on state and county roads, and based on that, we kind of separated out some of the policies that talk about how to work with the respective agencies to increase capacity and improve performance. There's some comments on the potential for a new interchange, and we just want to point out that that's really something that's a major change that should be addressed separately. If it makes sense to do that, then the comprehensive plan could be amended to add that interchange, certainly. Once it's feasible, it'd be pretty easy to make that change. The virtual room comments, I'm not going to go over all these again because we went over most of them last time, but there's one new one here in bold. And it said, will future trails be painted on the existing roads or separated and buffered? And just want to say that'd be a case-by-case determination, depending on what options are available, what that facility looks like, where's the right-of-way, how much is this going to cost. Those are the type of things that you would consider for each individual facility as you're moving forward. So we want to make them as safe and comfortable as possible within a reasonable budget. So that was the only new comment since we saw you last. So that wraps it up pretty much. At this point, I'm here for any questions. Again, if there's anything we want to talk about, but we'll ultimately be asking you today to make a motion to transmit this transportation element to the Department of Commerce.
Okay. Any questions for Mike or for Pam?
I have a quick question. The most recent data we have that we're basing this off of is 2022. Why don't we have, or is it just timely that we couldn't get a 2023 more updated model because we're growing pretty rapidly?
Yeah, the traffic count program, I'd leave that to you. It has not been, new data has not been collected for traffic counts.
Is that an us thing or is that like a outside entity thing?
We weren't able to take counts for 23, 24.
We weren't able to?
No.
Was that a funding issue or just a planning issue or what happened there? Excuse me?
We were going to do them in the fall and then we were going to do them later and it just didn't work out. We will interpolate the data.
I'm sorry, Pam, can you speak on the?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We'll interpolate the data when we get to take counts again. We're going to try again in the fall.
Were we funded for it?
Yes, there's money in the transportation impact fee budget to do that. Traffic counts are not a big ticket item. We try and do them every year. During COVID, things got a little dicey. Sometimes when there's when traffic is not normal, it doesn't always make sense to count. But
and you do the fall and spring for school, basically?
We can count in the fall. We need to be counting when school's in session. We have to be aware of when the holidays are, certain days of the week. We never count on holidays. Generally, we count on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. When we do the traffic count program, sometimes we do 24-hour counts. Under certain circumstances, we do 74-hour counts. It's not complicated. It's just there are a lot of variables giving on certain circumstances.
Okay, understood. I just want to make sure that it is funded and that we're using the best.
We did get good counts in 22 because it was right after we came out of COVID. And I think that I made a presentation to y'all and told you about some of the things that we noticed, like the counts on 6th Street increased by 600%, something astronomical. The numbers were low to begin with, but they went from in the hundreds to in the thousands.
Gotcha.
So
Okay. I just want to make sure we're funding you correctly to make sure that you can get the fresh data for us to make sure we're prepped moving forward. So thank you.
And tiny clarification, if it's worthwhile, like the state and the county, they will already take annual counts, so you could just focus on city roads.
Okay, any other questions for Mike or Pam? Okay, anybody from the public wish to speak on this one?
Again, before we move forward, using the old data, let's take the time to do our due diligence and get the most current up-to-date figures so we can move forward intelligently and the best representation for the city. When we don't do that, we're doing a disservice. If we don't have time to get the pertinent information, just think about anything that you do in life or any loan you go to apply for. They want current information. They don't want 2 or 3 years old information. So we have to be responsible and not just blow over this because why? We don't have the time to do it. It's not being responsible. So when we keep doing abnormal things and normalizing it, this is what I'm talking about. We should have time. And if anybody, all due respect, if you're bringing anything to me and you're using outdated numbers, I don't entertain it. It's just that simple. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, we'll close the public hearing and look for a motion to approve ordinance number 3029 at first reading and hold over for a second reading and adoption after the transmittal to the state of Florida.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Smith,
Second.
second by Commissioner Anderson. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next up, ordinance number 3051.
Ordinance number 3051. An ordinance of the City of Apopka, Florida, amending the future land use element of the Apopka Comprehensive Plan of the City of Apopka, changing the future land use designation from residential low to industrial for Pave a Lot Asphalt Maintenance, Inc., located at 951 South Highland Avenue, owned by Joseph Lewis, comprising of 0.057 acres more or less, providing for severability, conflicts, and an effective date.
Amir?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Amir. I'm a Planner 1. The applicant has submitted a small-scale future land use amendment from residential low to industrial for property located on 951 South Highland Avenue, just south of US 441 and west of South Apopka Boulevard. These are vicinity and aerial maps of the 951 South Highland Avenue site. The total site is 0.57 acres and has a street frontage of 200 feet. The applicant is requesting the future land use amendment to allow for the development of a storage warehouse around 3,200 square feet, which is permitted through a special exception in the MUD mixed-use downtown zoning. The maximum buildable area on that property is 14,857 square feet. As mentioned before and shown on these maps, the future land use is currently residential low and is proposed to change to industrial. Zoning is MUD mixed-use downtown. The Development Review Committee has recommended approval. At the May 14, 2024 Planning Commission meeting, the Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval for the future land use amendment based on the findings and facts presented in the staff report and exhibits. The recommended motion is to accept first reading of ordinance number 3051 and hold it over for second reading and adoption on June 19, 2024.
Any questions for Amir?
So that is, changing the zoning on that is just light industrial?
Oh, no, it's not zoning. It's future land use that we're
I'm
changing.
sorry, future land use,
Is from residential low to industrial.
that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
He can't put any he can't build a multi-dwelling or anything.
No, it's strictly industrial.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Amir? Okay, anybody from the public wish to speak on this one? If not, we'll close the public hearing. Look for a motion to approve ordinance number 3051 at first reading and hold over for a second reading and adoption.
So
got a motion by Commissioner Velasquez,
Second.
Second by Commissioner Nesta. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next up, ordinance number 3054.
Ordinance number 3054, an ordinance of the City of Apopka, Florida, amending the future land use element of the Apopka Comprehensive Plan of the City of Apopka, changing the future land use designation from county rural half to city rural settlement for a certain real property located at 2518 Haas Road, owned by Investments Alliance LLC, comprising of 4.17 acres more or less, providing for severability and for an effective date.
Thank you. For the record, Bobby Howell, the planning manager. Property is located at 2518 Haas Road and is approximately 4.17 acres in size. It was annexed into the city on March 20th, 2024. The applicant's requesting a future land use amendment from county rural half, which permits a maximum density of 1 dwelling unit per 2 acres, to city rural settlement, which permits a maximum density of 1 dwelling unit per acre in a development with an overall size of less than 25 acres, with clustering encouraged but not required, with a minimum open space requirement of 35% in that rural future land use category, rural settlement future land use category, I should say. The request to assign the future land use designation of rural settlement is compatible with the surrounding area, as the abutting property to the east is located within the city and has a rural settlement future land use designation. As you're probably aware, most of Haas Road is very agricultural and rural in nature and character. So this future land use category would fit within the character of the surrounding area. Orange County Public Schools issued a capacity determination letter stating that the impacts are de minimis on the school system, that it would generate less than 1 student. The Development Review Committee recommends approval. The Planning Commission unanimously recommends approval. The recommended motion this afternoon is to accept first reading of ordinance number 3054 and hold it over for second reading and adoption on June 19th. Myself and the applicant are available for questions.
Any questions for Bobby?
I remember there was a concern with us changing, because it looks like a little piano key. What's next to this? The
Yeah.
properties next to it, what are those?
So the piece next to it is just a vacant wooded piece of property. I remember the conversation about the piano keys that Commissioner Becker had brought up.
Right.
This was annexed into the city. So therefore, they're kind of in a holding pattern without a future land use and a zoning. The rural settlement future land use is the least dense and intense future land use that the city has. So this, originally the applicant came to us, they wanted to do 8 units on the property. We told them no, we would not support that. But the most we would support would be the 1 unit per acre.
So he's building just 1 unit.
4 units. So it's a 4 acre property, 4.17.
And the driveways are going to come out on McGuire?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for Bobby? Anybody from the public wish to speak on this matter?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, my name is John Abion. I'm with Florida Engineering Group. We're the civil engineers representing the developer. We concur with staff's recommendation. Commissioner Velazquez, they were very tough on us. They cut us, by half. And the piano is about 130 feet wide, so it's a pretty wide lot. You're going to have 130 feet by 440, so they are big lots. And so we went to 1 dwelling per unit, and we're only asking for 4 lots on 4 acres, a little bit 4 acres. And we respectfully ask you to approve our request.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, not, we'll close the public hearing. Look for a motion to approve ordinance number 3054 at first reading and hold over for a second reading and adoption.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Nesta.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next up, ordinance number 3055.
Ordinance number 3055, an ordinance of the City of Apopka, Florida, changing the zoning from T Transitional to PD Planned Development District for certain real property located at 2518 Haas Road, owned by Investments Alliance LLC, comprising of 4.17 acres more or less, providing for severability, conflicts, and an effective date.
Once again, Bobby Howell, planning manager. For the record, this is the companion rezoning ordinance to the future land use amendment that was just approved. The zoning is from transition to planned development. As you can see, the future land use and zonings of the surrounding properties, we've already kind of covered that in the previous presentation. The applicant is proposing a rezoning to PD for a 4-lot subdivision with access that would be off of McGuire Road. 35% open space, characteristic with the rural settlement future land use. The reason for the PD rezoning is that there's no zoning within our land development code that would accommodate the rural settlement future land use category. So if anybody did a rural settlement future land use development, they have to zone it to PUD or PD. The PD master plan proposes 4 lots with lot sizes ranging from 29,260 square feet and 61,600 square feet. 35% open space is proposed in an area that's located on portions of lots 2 and 3, as you can see it on the screen there. Per Land Development Code Section 372 F2, a plan development agreement is provided as well. As I mentioned on the previous case item that was presented, the public school system indicated that the impact is de minimis on the school system. The Development Review Committee recommends approval. The Planning Commission unanimously recommends approval, and the recommended motion this afternoon is to accept first reading of ordinance number 3055, hold it over for second reading, adoption on June 19th, 2024, and approval of the master plan and the PD agreement. And myself and Mr. Avion are here for questions.
Any questions?
Do we have utilities up there in House Road?
I would have to defer to the Public Services Department on that. I'm not aware that we do.
I didn't see that anywhere. Maybe.
Jean Abion, Florida Engineering Group. Commissioner, no. We're going to use potable wells for water and septic tank.
Okay. Do we have utilities that go up there? Yeah.
I think we do.
Do we?
I believe we do. Don't hold me to it, but I'm pretty sure we do that.
Would you check and let me know? Because if we have utilities that reach up there, why wouldn't they connect to utilities?
If there is, we'll look at it. But we looked at it before, and there is none. There is like a subdivision just to the south of us, 20 lots, and they are on septic and potable wells. So, but we don't think there is a water line for the city out there. But we can look if you can look into it. We can. But
all right, I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Any other? Wait, hang on. Any other?
I just have one, and
Sure.
it's more specific to the actual project itself. Are these all going to be custom-built homes, or what's the intent? What's the goal?
the developer is here, but they are custom built home. They're not like the same.
Okay.
So they're 4 lots, and we worked really hard with the city. We agreed, if you look at the PD, we agreed only the lot, the smallest one, is about 0.6 acres. And we agreed to only have 6,000 square feet of impervious. Part of it would be probably 4,000 square foot. Now, the minimum is 2,000, but maximum 6,000. So if you look at the overall, we're only developing like 10% of the development with homes.
No, those are big lots.
Yeah, so we have a lot of open space out there.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
All right.
Okay, so wait a minute. Before you leave, one of the things, and it relates back to Commissioner Velasquez, is this, if there's utilities, we would expect you to hook up. But I'd also say if you're not, if we don't have utilities there, I would like to not recommend. I'd like to make it as a part of the motion. I don't know if this is the point, Bobby, where if he's gonna have septic tanks, I want to make sure that the on-site, that they're not the standard septic tank. Where would we do that? Would that be a later step? Because I want to, we've got to meet our BMAP, and if we don't start, this is a perfect example where we don't need a regular septic tank in that.
Right now, we're at the rezoning stage.
Yep.
However, it's a planned development, so it's a negotiated zoning. It could be put on, I could ask the legal counsel on the planned development agreement. Ordinance.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, well, I won't vote for it unless we put on-site septic. I mean, if two things. One is if there's sewer available, you're going to hook up the sewer. If there's not sewer available, then I won't recommend then at the next step approval unless we go to an on-site, which is the advanced septic system. It's not a lot more than a normal septic, but it gives us 73% effectiveness of sewer. So I just, Bobby, if you'd make a note of that.
We're not able to require them to use a specific company, though.
Yeah, have to do it anyway.
Right. No, I understand, but I'm saying we can't specify you can only use one company to
Advanced
products.
There's only one system that's currently approved for advanced.
To clarify, I think, Mayor, what you're saying is you're saying you would require a certain product that happens to only be produced by one company right now.
Correct.
Which is different than saying you have to use this provider.
Correct.
Okay.
If I may, Mayor, I have to look into it. I'm not objecting to what you're saying. Obviously, you're going to vote to what you want to vote for. But the one you are recommending, my understanding that there is a utility company that manages these.
Correct.
So the issue becomes, are we now have to pay this utility company if we are forced to kind of go ahead and do that?
Correct.
Now, are we now forced to kind of pay this utility company monthly payment?
Correct. It'd be the same as being on sewer, but yes.
Now, there is no sewer, I can tell you. We know that area, so there is no sewer. But, that's kind of a concern. I can tell you on behalf of my client. But obviously, you guys vote the way you vote. But I understand the system has to have is like a utility, and you have to pay for a certain company.
Right. Yes, sir. Okay. Any other thoughts? If not, look for a motion to approve ordinance number 3055 at first reading and hold over for second reading and adoption.
Okay, so if we approve it, do we approve it with the conditions?
No, we're approving as is.
Yeah.
Right now.
Okay, so
Got a motion by Commissioner Velasquez.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Nesta. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries unanimously. Next up, ordinance
Just
number
for
3057.
clarification, real quick. So the motion was without the connection to the on-site. So is it just as presented?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ordinance number 3057. An ordinance of the City of Apopka, Florida, to extend its territorial and municipal limits to annex pursuant to Florida Statute 171.044, the hereinafter described land situated and being in Orange County, Florida, owned by SFL Partners, LLC, and JFJ Real Investments, LLC, located north of 4th Street, east of Bradshaw Road, and west of Hawthorne Avenue, comprising of 1.97 acres more or less, providing for directions to the city clerk, severability, conflicts, and an effective date.
For the record, Jean Sanchez with the Community Development Department. This is a request to accept the first reading of ordinance number 3057, annexation of 357 West 4th Street. Property is located north of 4th, east of Bradshaw Road, and west of Hawthorne Avenue, approximately 1.97 acres in size. It's contiguous to the city on the northern and western boundaries and consistent with Florida Statute 171 and the Joint Planning Agreement. The assignment of city future land use and zoning designation will occur at a later date and through action by the city council. The applicant intends to amend its future land use to industrial and change of zoning to light industrial district compatible with designations of the parcels on the north and the west. The DRC recommends approval. The recommended motion is to accept the first reading, ordinance number 3057, and hold it over for second reading and adoption on June 19, 2024. Staff is available for questions.
Any questions for Jean?
do we know what's going to be built there?
It's my understanding, obviously, they're going to go industrial. I think they're moving towards light industrial uses.
Okay. Any other questions? Anybody from the public wish to speak on this one?
Rod Olson, 3156 Rolling Hills Lane. Just a repeated request I've made multiple times. If you look at the 5 resolutions, only one indicates the acreage. Acreage and density should be included in each of these, so it makes it easier for us to read here and know what the size is and what the density is. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right. Now we'll close the public hearing. Look for a motion to approve ordinance number 3057 at first reading and hold over for second reading and adoption.
So moved.
I got a motion by Commissioner Smith.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Nesta. All those in favor?
Aye.
All All opposed, motion carries unanimously. Next up, Resolution 2024-10.
Resolution 2024-10, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Apopka, Florida, approving and authorizing the execution of a non-exclusive franchise agreement for commercial solid waste services with JJ's Waste and Recycling LLC for a roll-off container collection and disposal of waste within the city and providing for an effective date.
Afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. Josh Robinson, Public Services. Staff recommends you approve the resolution entering into a franchise agreement with J&J Recycling, authorizing them to operate the roll-off disposal business in the city. Here, any questions?
Any questions for Josh? Anybody from the public wish to speak on this one? Not close the public hearing. Look for motion to approve resolution number 2024-10.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Velasquez. Second by Commissioner Nesta. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed, motion carries unanimously. Next up, Resolution 2024-11.
Resolution 2024-11, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Apopka, Florida, approving a state-funded grant agreement with the State of Florida Department of Transportation for the design and construction of the Wekiva Trail Segment 4B of the Apopka Regional Trail.
This is an opportunity that we reached out to the state for during this past session. We do this almost every year. I can't think of how many times I've applied for legislative appropriations over the last 5 years. And because it's called Moving Florida Forward. Is that what the governor's? Yeah. The governor has an initiative, it's called Moving Florida Forward. He has these large corridors, large projects, so virtually all the transportation money has gone to I-4 and those projects. This is really the first year that he hasn't just vetoed a transportation project. We got really close on Harmon Road. He vetoed it at the last minute. But before I bring up, I have Mike Woodward with me who did the heavy technical lifting on this application. And I have my esteemed colleague, Cedric Moffitt from Orange County, Parks and Recreation, who's going to answer. I know that y'all all have questions, but I feel like I need to, I've talked to some of y'all, I need to make some clarifications. There's been a lot of misinformation about this put out there in my absence. So I'm going to tell you what the facts are. The facts are we are not going to maintain and operate this trail. It is true that this is an Orange County asset, and someone has suggested that we should not be spending our money on an Orange County asset. We do it all the time. We do it with DOT. You can look at the projects that we've got going on right there. Orange County is our partner. There's a benefit to this project for us. Orange County is going to be spending money on this project too. They've already acquired all the right of way. This is a regional trail. I don't think that it's fair to say that we don't spend money on other people's assets because they own it, it's kind of ours too. So I just wanted to get that out there that this is a good project. We applied actually for $8 million. We got $2 million. So we had to pare down our project. This is a project that actually can get done in the next couple of years. There's money in Metro Plan's budget to help with the construction. I'm going to let Mike talk about the overall costs, and then I'm going to let Cedric tell you how this fits in with what Orange County's doing to make you comfortable about why we should take a $2 million grant to do a $4-point-something million project, even if it costs us $200,000. I would add that it's just the way it is, and Mayor was in the legislature. He probably can confirm this, but if we receive a $2 million legislative appropriation and we turn it down, we probably won't get another one, not in my lifetime anyway. So I think that I would hope that you'd balance that out and say a $200,000 potential. It's potential that we'll get the money back through grants, or DOT will pay for our portion, or that we may be allowed to use Orange County's property that they already have as a soft match. So it's just not as cut and dry. It's just for right now, that's what the is required of the agreement with DOT. So, Mike, if you want to say a few words about the grant.
Yeah, so this is a pretty cool project. I think here's a map though. I love maps. A lot of numbers on this map as far as what this trail is called, and that's because it's been a partnership project where the Lake Sumter TPO has been involved, or MPO, excuse me. Orange County's been involved, Apopka's involved, and so with all these entities talking about the system, you end up with some overlapping names. This is either 4B or 4A or 4D. So what we call it doesn't matter so much. What we actually do with it really does. And so this is the opportunity for the city of Apopka to start at Kelly Park, which is the red route on this map, and take it up to the Neighborhood Lakes Trail. One of the challenges of this is how do we get through Lake Lurla? Like that's kind of right there. Right now there's a dotted line going through it, so that's something that'll have to be determined. Part of the reason that this segment is moving forward right now, actually the reason, is that there was a PD&E, stands for Project Development and Environmental, that was performed for this in 2015. Now, why is that important? That is a process through the FDOT that lets them feel comfortable that the project is ready to go to design. Now, since the department is kind of funneling these dollars, they really want that comfort, and so the fact that this has the previous study, that it's a fairly thorough planning analysis, really one of the most thorough planning level types of analyses that can be performed. Since that has been performed, they are comfortable that this is ready to move into the design phase. Now, there's other trails in the city that are planned for the future, and like we included those in the transportation element that I was here for earlier today. As far as like what the priority is of those trails, like that's a good conversation to have. However, this particular grant is for this section here outlined in red. Now, also on this map, I'll try not to take too much of your thunder from my partner with Orange County. But the purple part, purple dotted line, that would be the Orange County portion. So we would again have to be a partnership in order to make this a successful trail with further connectivity. But the northern end would connect to an existing trailhead. And again, I think this is a very exciting opportunity to have a pretty cool showcase trail. Part of it would have to be boardwalk because there is some wet areas that we'd have to go over, so that'd just be a really nice facility. And this being kind of on the edge of Kelly Park, I think it'd be really something that would be pretty fantastic. My role in it would be to design. If you move forward, we would be responsible for the design of that facility. And I can't tell you how much I would love to work on this project because Kelly Park's a pretty awesome place, and having a trail system go through here would just be such a huge amenity for the city to enjoy. Again, Pam mentioned that it would ultimately be a county facility. Well, by the city leading this phase, you do have the availability or the ability to have input on the design, have input on what it looks like, and really get this project off the ground and get it moving. We were talking earlier about how sometimes projects, from the time it's an idea to construction is a variable amount of time that can be 10 years, right, after the need. Like you have to go through all these processes. Since the PD&E is done and now there's funding from the state, that's pretty cool. Now, again, it'd be better if the state had provided the entire amount that was requested. It would be better for the city if there was no local match, right? I mean, your fellow Floridians in Jacksonville and Key West might disagree on how much the state should pay for versus local, but this is again an opportunity to make this happen, and that's pretty much all I wanted to mention. I'll turn it over to Orange County now.
Cedric was kind enough to bring a map.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Cedric Moffitt, the principal planner at Orange County Parks and Recreation Division. Wanted to come here today to just show our support from the county for this collaborative project. What we call West Orange Phase 4D. The one, let's say, purple on the map there. I created this map that you're seeing there now that shows all the different phases of the West Orange Trail that we're actually working on now. I know there might be some priority for other segments, but I wanted to give you an update on kind of where we are on those. Segment 4A along Rock Springs Road, which is the main connection. Actually, we've already secured grant funding for design for that project in 27-28 from the state. So we're actually going to be moving on that one then, and we're working on it right now for construction funding. So we've actually already moved on that particular segment. Segment 4B, just as you all got a state appropriation to do this particular trail project here, we actually also secured some money to do design on 4B along Welch Road. And we actually had to provide a match of around $1.4 million to actually secure that money actually in the last month here. So we're going to actually start design on the phase along 4B actually in the next couple of months. So from the state. So we're actually moving forward on that piece too also.
I'm sorry, can you just give me that number again? 4B. That you said?
4B.
4B, yes, segment 4B.
But the amount that you said?
It was around about 1.4 million approximately.
Okay.
That the county's actually putting in the match for the design for that project. So
I'm just putting the numbers down.
oh, no problem there.
Okay. Thank you.
So we're moving on that particular segment also. 4C is the one that actually in the future that we're hopeful that actually as new development comes in with from or Apopka, because most of that's within the city that actually that can be accomplished on that portion. So with you all moving on 4D, we're actually potentially to see the West Orange Trail literally completed probably by the next decade. And the reason why I think this is important for the city, and I hope that you will support this motion here, is this of all our trails that we're doing, this one actually impacts Apopka the most. Literally all of these segments are within the city and would actually bring people in from whether it's from the north in Lake County and Seminole, coming through the Cuyahoga Trail network, or coming from the south from the coast to coast. All those people will be funneling into the city of Apopka right here, through this trail network here. So I think it's worth putting the amount of investment here from the state and then maybe local into the system here. So, and with that, if you have any questions,
Okay, any questions for Cedric, Pam, or Mike?
I would like to ask Cedric, Commissioner Onesta and I had a discussion about the piece from Lester to Rock Springs Ridge, and I would like Cedric to explain to you the complications of that and why that one could take years to do.
Oh yeah, the one on 4A, it is going to be the most problematic. Even though it's the key piece, and the key part on that is because of the right of way that we're going to require. The study that was done by Metro Plan in 2022 for the whole extension, they identified literally 53 parcels of property that we're going to have to actually acquire to actually make that happen. So luckily we've designed this lot into 2027, and during that period of time we're going to use that process to kind of identify and try to how do we get around that, how do we work that particular issue there. So it's not a good candidate to actually move on at the moment because of that particular complication for the right of way.
Any questions for any of the team? Okay.
I have a couple of additional questions. I'm surprised nobody else up here does. The 4D Orange County component, what's the plan for that in timeline?
Oh, for the purple section?
Correct.
The piece that you all will be doing for us will lead it over to Kelly Park, and that's in addition to our Kelly Park there. We actually are in the really early stages of actually trying to plan out that portion of the park. It's just basically, it was additional land we added to the park. So we actually we're trying to do like a kind of some master plan almost for that particular part. And what we'll do is we'll include that in that particular project.
Okay, but that's pretty far down the road then.
No, actually, we kind of actually have a time limit because of the grant that was used to actually secure that land, where we have to kind of move a little bit more quickly.
What's that timeline look like?
Literally, we're doing that gaming out actually now. So we're actually beginning the process on that now. So I can't give you the full because we're just in the beginning stages.
Okay. And then so I guess the 4A to your point, that's that integral, most important component of this trail. I run that 3 times a week, and having to stop where it ends at Lester to knowing to have to turn back around and things like that. So, and I know I'm not the only one. I pass people all the time on there. So some hesitancy is obviously that we are building on an asset that's not ours, which I hear you on that, but I'm able to, The assets that we are doing improvements on are lights that I'm using daily, whereas I have to drive outside, or my residents have to drive outside of Apopka city limits to gain access to this trail until we get connections then. So that's a pain point for me, that we don't have any connections within the city limits to gain access to this. So we're spending money to do that, where I have to drive into Lake County or Orange County, more so right on the border there, to make it work. So I don't love that. And we're spending almost $250,000 to do that when we do have other infrastructure issues. And I totally get that we have millions of dollars coming in. It's just, again, that's a pain point, obviously. I don't think there's we can't do anything about that. It is what it is. I guess, what else does Orange County have planned up at that trailhead?
Up north there.
Correct.
That particular, as I say, that trailhead, we work with the state right here to actually have them actually build that for us as part of the Kaiba Trail network. They actually built it for us and then turned it over to the county for maintenance. And the key thing is that trail network goes into Lake County and will eventually into like Mount Laurel and Tavares. Right now, it actually goes across the entire kind of Parkville to Seminole County. So that's a very extremely important northern piece that we're trying to connect in, and this connection here is going to help make that happen eventually. Like I said, 4A is very, very key. As I say, we work to get the state to actually already fund design. Design fund is funded for 27-28. So, and then we'll work in that time the right way to deal with the right of way issues. And right now, I'm actually at this very time actually working to get the construction money for 4A. So, it is coming along. It's a high priority for the county to work on here. It's just.
So you know what's missing on top of 4D? What's up on top of 4D? This whole thing.
That's the existing trail. That's the existing Wakaiba Trail.
Oh, okay.
And we have a nice trail there also.
It goes all the way across the bridge.
Yep.
Into Sanford.
Yep. Very nice.
And that trail is eventually going to go, it'll be connected all the way out. You can take it all the way out to the east coast. And then if you want to go west, you'll be able to get over to the Lake Apopka Loop Trail. When that's a priority for Lake County, and they are a partner on this project too. So they very much support it.
So here's Kelly Park. Trying to get my bearings a little bit here. Kelly Park. So it'll start at Kelly Park, the trail?
No.
No?
Not Kelly Park Road, at Kelly Park. Go ahead.
Okay, Kelly Park.
Yeah, for this portion that we're talking about today and asking for your action, it would start at Kelly Park, not Kelly Park Road. So if you look at the red, it's all
okay,
the red.
At Kelly Park.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I said road. I'm so used to saying Kelly Park.
I know
Road. It's Kelly Park.
Yep.
Have the residents at this trail will back up to, have they been notified that they're going to have residents in their backyard walking, running? Is it a concern to them? Because we've had that issue on the Orange County side over on Welch and Wakaiba Springs. They were very against this happening in their backyards.
So there was some public involvement as part of the PD&E. Unfortunately, I don't have those records, but there is a public involvement phase of this next design.
Okay.
So it would have been required in the PD&E that was performed in 2015.
Yeah.
Which again, I just don't have
that
records
where-
of those. We looked for them,
Is
we
this
tried, we
where
asked.
Dennis is at?
Nobody that can seem to find them.
Is that where you're at too? Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. That's what I'm trying, because this doesn't have like, I know there's a neighborhood there. Yeah. Now I know, because I live in Rock Springs Ridge, so this is where I see all the congestion to go into that park. Okay. And did that community know, did you have a community meeting with the residents of that community?
So in the PD&E from 2015, public involvement would have been a requirement, but we don't have record of it. Like nobody can find the documentation from that outreach in 2015. We looked, county looked, Lake County looked, FDOT looked. People can't find it. I don't have an answer for where those comments went.
No, that's a concern, no?
It was done. They wouldn't have done it without.
Yeah, it was done and it moved forward and it was recommended and it continued through and even phase 4A was built. So it's
Any other questions for the team? Anybody? Okay. Anybody from the public wish to speak on this one? If not, I do want to say, one of the things that's kind of nice about this is when I went to Tallahassee, this was last year, I got letters of support from all the communities along the way in Orange County. I got a letter from Oakland, got a letter from Winter Garden, a letter from Ocoee, saying, hey, we support, even though they're 20, 30, 40 miles away from this project. So the benefit is, we know, you look at downtown Winter Garden and what it's done in downtown Winter Garden, having that trail, finishing this trail. Cedric, is it 60 miles, 70 miles? How from end to end?
It's about 22 miles right now of just West Orange Trail. But
No, but I meant from Claremont to Sanford. What will that be?
That's a good question. I don't want to throw a number out there about, but
60, 70 miles? I mean, it's
This is an integral portion of the coast-to-coast
Right.
trail that'll span Florida. And I can tell you, kind of to your point, communities throughout Central Florida would love to connect to this system. Like it's a big deal that like you're going to take drone pictures of it and have a ribbon cutting, and everybody's going to be like, "Yay!" So,
all right. Okay. With that, close the public hearing. Look for a motion to approve resolution 2024-11.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Velasquez, second by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed?
No.
So you have 4-1 vote. All right. Thank you, Cedric. Appreciate you coming out and being a part of this. Thank you. Mike, thank you. So 4-1 to approve resolution 2024-11. Okay, next up, resolution 2024-12.
Resolution 2024-12, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Apopka, Florida, amending the budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2023, and ending September 30th, 2024, providing for a budget amendment.
Thank you, Susan. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you. Good. Okay, I am not. Okay. Before you is resolution number 2024-12, a budget amendment number 7 in the amount of $2,929,503. The first item is to incorporate a transportation impact fee credit agreement into the budget in the amount of $1.6 million. It was for improvements on Apopka Road at Martin Road, a traffic signal. This was approved by council back in 2021, October 6, 2021. The next item, I'm trying to make a correction in the rollovers that were brought to you in January. It's related to a project that you approved on the council agenda for the day for CRA sidewalks project phase 2. It was kind of put in there as a net number and a whole number, so we're removing one of those numbers out of the budget in the amount of $798,363. And this was the item just brought before you in regards to the Wekiva Trail Segment 4B, where the city is committing $200,000 out of impact fee reserve funds, $300,000 coming from the grant that you just approved to begin the design in the amount of $500,000.
Okay, any questions for Blanche? Anybody from the public wish to speak on this matter? Not, we'll close the public hearing. Look for a motion to approve resolution 2024-12.
Correct.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Nesta, second by Commissioner Velasquez. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, City Council reports. Commissioner Nesta, why don't you get us started?
I want to, and I emailed our labor attorney, just get an update on how negotiations went, try to see what next steps are. I know he was out of town, so if we can formalize that in some capacity and put something on the
Shade meetings on 6 o'clock before next council meeting.
We already
I
planned
thought it should already be on your calendar, isn't it?
No,
Yeah.
nope.
Okay, then that's a shade meeting, 6 o'clock. Yes, before the next meeting.
Okay, so the next meeting.
It is. Was it posted? Yeah. Okay, so
We didn't get it.
So on the 19th?
correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, we don't have anything on the.
Yeah, we don't.
I apologize.
We didn't get it. So that's at 1,800 hours.
Correct.
And that's the shade meeting regarding the negotiations for the
Correct.
fire department?
Correct.
Okay, good. Next one is I have a cleanup that's scheduled for June 29th. Set up the Facebook event and all that, so we've got a lot of good support. Working on fire stations 2, 3, and 4. Just really sprucing them up. There's some assets we've had for a long time and just not looking great. The funding for this is all coming out of it's not Parks and Rec, but that division with Radley. It's something that has been funded but just not taken care of yet. So we want to make sure that if you guys want to be out there to help, come on out. It's going to be from 8 to 11. All 3 are going to be happening all at once. We've got a lot of volunteers already that are going to be out there and helping to really just spruce up our stations. I'll be having every other month cleanups last Saturday of those months, and I'll be providing the locations and things like that moving forward for those cleanups. But the first one right now, June 29th from 8 to 11 at fire stations 2, 3, and 4. And then the last one is the Chamber of Commerce. I got their, notice to vacate. I guess let's walk through that and what that looks like. Do we have any information from them, receipts on work that's been done, insurance claims that have been done? Do we have any data on anything other than they just want to leave?
I don't think. I mean, Radley,
at this point, no. I got notice today, and then I was going to reach out with Cliff because Cliff needs to acknowledge that
Yeah.
they would like to vacate, and then we can start discussions with them to see if there's any residuals off of the money that they obtained to fix the building, and then make a decision from there.
What the current condition of the interior of that building? Do you know?
It's been remediated on the inside. I've been in it. They've cut the wall board up and so forth, about 4 foot. So we don't have any problems with mold. We're just going to have to go in and do some interior cleanup.
Wow. Okay.
And that'll need, if we're going to use it for our use, it was going to happen no matter what, that we'd have to go in and do some remodeling. So I've had a brief discussion with the mayor as to my recommendations with the building. It's going to be, depending on budgetary and all that. So,
okay. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely an important conversation to have just to figure out next steps, things like that. So we can work on that, but it was just, I was surprised to get their letter when they had sent us previous letter that says we still want to stay and now they don't. So conflicting demands there.
I know they had their board meeting yesterday, and the board made a vote at that point to vacate the building. So I got notice this morning.
Okay. Understood. All right. And then the one final one too, this is for Mrs. Bowen. I know we've been dealing with a lot of our documents that we're having back and forth with incorrect signatures or no signatures. I want to make sure that we're getting those documents clearly out to everyone to make sure we have the best of the best moving forward. Because I know we've had a few mistakes in the past. I want to make sure we're moving forward correctly to make sure that's not happening, because it's creating liability for us, obviously, and residents absolutely have the right to bring up what they are. So moving forward, I want to make sure that we are absolutely getting it right, and that if there needs to be new policies or something that's implemented, that we discuss it and make sure that we're supporting you to do what you need to, and that we don't have any additional hiccups in that capacity. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Smith.
I know we're getting ready for hurricane season, and is it possible for us to have a hurricane expo to have our citizens to come out and have vendors to come to talk about potential things that they can prepare for the hurricane season?
Yes. Radley, have we got anything coming up that we could just piggyback on? I just want to make sure we don't want to do it if we don't get people to show up. I'm with you. I want to make sure we're successful and not do it.
I think we're slated to have several storms this time.
Yeah. Well, I know that.
We could reach out to the county EOC and see if they'd put a presentation on for us. But
I think he's talking about for the residents.
Yeah, for residents.
Right. Put a presentation at one of our venues for the residents.
Like, generator use, chainsaw use, usually it's not until, what's the last Saturday in June? I just want to make sure I don't want to be doing an event that we're not successful on. Yeah. When is your event, Commissioner Nesta, the 22nd or 29th? 29th. Yours is the 29th. And what time? 8 to
11.
8 to 11. And then the following, I just don't know how we could put something together fast enough to do what you want us to do. We're open. I'm sure, Radley and his team will make it happen as best we can. I don't want to give you.
Yeah, you can have fire and police involved as well.
It's just.
Mayor, why don't we let Radley, myself, and the fire chief get together and we'll see what we can come up with.
Okay, I appreciate
You betcha.
that. And then the other thing is, at our last city council meeting, Commissioner Anderson did respond to the video from the police department, and I just like to say that I too went and looked at that video as well, and so I don't want to leave Commissioner Anderson by herself, but I concur with what she saw in that video, and I just want to make sure that she wasn't the only individual that saw the video, but I concur with what she said.
Come on, guys. Okay, Commissioner Smith,
I'm done.
Good. Okay, Commissioner Velasquez.
Okay, I just wanna respond to Mr. Abby McKemmy that he gave me my oath of office that was forwarded as public record. So this morning I did call, because I did see it on Facebook. So I actually text her my official oath of office, which I have, which is signed and typed with the date that I was sworn in. So I'm going to make copies of those and give them to the city clerk. But each of us, I don't know why a date wasn't put on that. I know that when we were sworn in, that day we kind of signed, but then the official one is given to us in a frame. And I actually had to go look at them because they're hanging on the wall. They have a date and the year and that we were sworn in. So, yep. So what I will do is that I'm going to send a copy, at least for mine, and so she will have that, and that's the official one. The one that I have is the official one. It's the original one and the official one. So, it does have the date. That I wanted to kind of clear with that because I did see it on Facebook, and that was a concern to me. Then I had to look at on my wall to see, and I said, no, I have a date on that one. So that one I will make sure that she gets it, and if she has to forward a copy to you, she'll forward it to you. The second thing I wanted to kind of, and this is, for the chair, I had sent an email on May 23rd. And I know that I had said about disbanding the DEI. I did not say to get rid of all the members. I was only speaking regarding the members that I had spoken to, and it was actually the one that I appointed. I did speak to another member asking why they had not been showing up. And there was another member who's no longer in the city of Apopka or doing business with the city of Apopka. So when I spoke, I was only referencing 3 members, not the entire membership, because I do remember when Mr. Hall did say that he was, he felt disrespected, and I apologized to him because I was not referencing all the members. But the city now came back with Apopka together as one committee, and I did send an email to Chuck Barrick asking that a presentation be made. I asked for it to be on the agenda for today. I think it's only fair if we're going to revamp or retool that we should have some information. So I did get a follow-up email asking me to appoint someone, and I even said in my email that I would not appoint until it was brought before us so that the public has knowledge of how we're retooling this, and it gives an opportunity for anyone in the public who's interested in being part of this Apopka together as one committee can at least contact either the mayor or any of us to show their interest. I did get one email from that last council meeting, so I'm just asking if we can please bring this back and have Stephen Cripp come back and make the presentation and what the mission is for this new revamped or,
Okay.
committee. I think it's only fair. So that's all I'm asking on that.
Yeah.
And of course, I was away on vacation, so I know I missed graduations and Memorial Day, but you know, my vacation was planned as it was. But,
And on D,
thank you.
I thought we were creating a new policy for that too.
There is a policy. I don't. We'll have a under presentation the next council meeting. We'll do a presentation on that.
And then who came up with the name for that too?
It was 4 or 5 people kind of all put our heads together, so it was not a unilateral. So anyway, we'll bring it back and we can revamp, do whatever you'd like.
So I did get this from Next Step.
Yes.
Obviously, the building is not coming through for them.
Right.
We did the appraisal for them.
Yes. Well, it's for us. I mean, if we were going to purchase it, but we had to get an appraisal to see where it would go, and so.
So where do we stand with that now?
Unfortunately, he was here today, Lamar Hughley. He won't accept that price, so he wants more money than it's. So, Next Step Foundation is looking at other opportunities or to go somewhere else.
Can we get copies of that appraisal since we paid for it?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that's pretty much it. I know that Mayor Demings there was Orange County had their meeting yesterday, and I understand that during public comment, an attorney from Fisk, from Kirkman's firm.
Who?
Art Kirkman.
You mean
his firm? What's his firm? Fisk and
Kurt Ardeman?
Yeah, Kurt Ardeman. Right. What's his firm?
Kurt.
Yeah.
Dominic.
That he went representing us as not being in favor of the rule boundaries for Orange County.
I know that the cities were all looking at, hey, we need to have some representation on the rural boundaries, which they're unilaterally trying to take. They're not negotiating with us, so they need to negotiate with us as to how the rural settlements look. And right now, they're not.
Oh, okay, because I kind of turned it on for the public comment, and he said he was representing also the city of Apopka.
I think it's Apopka, Winter Garden, Ocoee, Oakland, all the West Orange counties.
Are we paying him?
No.
No, it was a unanimous type of that we all said no.
Well, we want representation. Right now, we've got none. It's the county's way or the highway. So we need them to come to the table about how that looks. And right now they're not cooperating. And now they're looking at even putting something on the ballot in November that will eliminate any
the GPA. I understand, right?
JPA. Yeah. Well, it's rural settlement, the rural boundaries. Yes.
And so how will that affect us?
We probably need to get Cliff or Drew, or I don't know who from your team is. We probably need to have some discussion about how that, what the county's doing, and I don't know who.
Sure, I can touch base with Kurt. I know him well. That's why I recognize the name.
Oh, yeah.
I can touch base with Kurt and get his input on it, and we can report back to you.
Okay, and we can have Cliff or you, whoever's coming next council meeting. Yeah, so we can.
No problem.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I'll have them come back and okay.
Yeah, because it is going to be going before the ballot and before.
Yeah.
And people are very sensitive about rule,
So
and so if they're going to vote on something that's going to impact us, we should have some information.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, that's it for me. Thank you,
Commissioner Anderson.
So, been a very, very busy few weeks. Had the opportunity to attend my first few graduations. So, I want to say congratulations to the seniors from Apopka High School and also Wekiva High School for their achievement. It was very interesting, very emotional. My first graduation, saw a lot of parents that I actually went to school with, graduate from Apopka with, witnessing their children actually walk across that stage was definitely something that I'll remember for a long time. In addition to that, I had the opportunity to attend the the Valencia Community College graduation for the Apopka Police Department new officers. That was very interesting to witness as well. So congratulations to the new officers. I look forward to connecting with them and actually meeting with them in the field. Lift Orlando had the opportunity to tour that facility. There's a lot of things that are going on there. I look forward to connecting with some of the different leaders that was responsible for that development and seeing how we kind of can incorporate some of the things, some of the ideas that has been successful there. I'm here in Apopka. That is pretty much it. I just look forward to connecting with the community, continuing to meet with everyone, different departments, and just learning and growing. So thank you for your patience as I learn this process, because it's definitely a lot to take in. So thank you all for your patience with that.
Okay, for our first city administrative report, Jacob, what do you got, man? What was your first day like?
Yeah, I just wanted to say hello. It was actually interesting. Last night, we went around a storm on the plane to get here to Florida, landed on the tarmac, and that's when I felt it. It was a one-way flight. And that's when the thought came across me. I am now, a citizen of Florida. Can't wait to get to Apopka. So it was a momentous occasion for me. I'm looking forward to it. I've spent a day looking at the fire stations as well as talking with the mayor and a few of the staff. I've got a very full couple of weeks before I got here. I already have my schedule completely full. So I spent about 30 minutes looking over my calendar. But yeah, I'll be meeting with each of the departments over the next couple of weeks, kind of going over their mission and objectives, any past issues they're working with right now, and anything that we foresee here in the near future. So that way I can get an idea of, like she was saying before, the people, the process, and the politics. So get a feel for that here in the next couple of weeks. I've already, after one day, I already see a lot of things that I'd like to work on, but of course I'm going to keep that all in my head right now because nobody likes change, but it's coming.
Cool. All right. Anything from the attorney?
No, sir.
All right. Good. Mayor's report, just a couple things. One, summer camps are going swimmingly well. Right at 100 day camp at Camp Weewa. And I think Billy Dean and Alonzo Williams Park is full. So we are maxed out, which is a good thing. So that's awesome. Next Saturday, June 15th, we've got the Juneteenth parade. We'll start at the community center, weave its way to Alonzo Williams Park. It starts at 2 p.m. So come on out and be a part of that parade. Commissioner Smith, what do you think about July 4th if we added your hurricane, put it right, because we got thousands of people.
Yes.
So Riley, there we go, man. How about we'll put out bullets that, hey, come a little early, see what we've got as far as hurricane preparedness, and you can get with the chief and we'll put something together to make that work. How's that sound? Awesome. And with that, I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and thank you, council. This was another great meeting where I think we all worked together to solve the city's problems.
Thank you.